Three River Stadium is sold out for this most important game between the Steelers and the Kansas City Chiefs. Good afternoon, everyone. Don Criqui with Bob Trumpy, cold and clear in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And as you know, it's all on the line today for the Chiefs. They either pass or fail this playoff test on their own. They don't need any help. They don't have to scoreboard watch. They're young, Trump, as you know, and I think they're very ready.
Don, I think the reason the Kansas City Chiefs are here is their defense. You saw the takeaway stat, and their big takeaway guy has been Deron Cherry. Going to the Pro Bowl for the 4th straight year. He's had 5 interceptions in the last 4 games. And to show you the frustration of the Kansas City Chiefs, Deron Cherry was a 7th grader in Palmyra, New Jersey, the last time the Chiefs were in the playoffs. And they face a very, very good offense in the Pittsburgh Steelers. With Ernest Jackson running the ball, if he gains 145 yards rushing today, he'll be in the record books all by himself. He'll be the only running back to gain 1,000 yards 3 successive seasons for 3 different teams.
Ernest Jackson was made for the Pittsburgh Steelers inside running game. He is a low-to-the-ground, off-tackle runner. The Chiefs will get the ball to start off the game. As you see, the Steelers lead the series, and they won the last time they played. It was a 36-28 Steeler victory at Kansas City in 1985. Kickoff by Anderson downfield, and coming up to the ball is Jeff Smith, the running back from Nebraska. And he gets to the 22-yard line, and that's where the Chiefs go on offense for the first time. Number 9, veteran Bill Kenney is at quarterback. Royce Green and Mike Pruitt, his starting runners, 2 big backs. Henry Marshall with over 400 career receptions, and Stephon Page with 11 touchdown catches. At the wideouts, Walt Arnold starts at tight end. Rising stars in the offensive line, Rick Donnelly, the center, a former Pittsburgh draft choice, has been the best player for Kansas City. Buddy and Addix are excellent guards. Eatman and Lutz, 2 good tackles. They're strong up front. The Chiefs set to go, first down and 10. Royce Green takes it ahead to about the 25-yard line, where inside linebacker David Little knocked him down for Pittsburgh. Looking at the Steelers defensively, Keith Willis, a very good pass rusher. Gary Dunn, one of the best nose tackles in the NFL. Edmund Nelson, the other defensive end. But the strength of the Steeler defense, and it's a very good one, is the linebacking. Mike Merriweather, a Pro Bowler, and Brian Hinkle, the #1 tackler, are the keys, with power linebackers inside, and Little and Robin Cole. Swain and Sanchez starting at the corner. They've been soft there, have the Steelers. They've changed people around. Now it's 2nd down and 6 for Kansas City. Opening drive. Pruitt. Nothing there as the Steelers send in Keith Gary, and he makes the knockdown. A former #1 draft choice out of Oklahoma. You know, Trump, the coaches feel a most important matchup, nose tackle against center.
That's Donnelly against Gary Dunn, and if the Kansas City Chiefs offense has a problem, a glaring weakness is their inability to run the football. This is the last-ranked offense in the NFL. Kansas City 28th out of 28 teams. That's a big matchup, Dunn versus Donnelly all day.
Now on 3rd and 5 for Kansas City. Kenney will throw from the shotgun. Might have been motion early from Lutz, but no flag. A throw too low. Is it ruled a catch? It might be. Moriarty is going to be credited with the catch right off the top of the turf. It looked like an incomplete ball, and they get a first down to the Chiefs.
Brian Hinkle was there in coverage. The umpire was looking right at it. And it looks like Bill Kenney a little shaky to begin with here. This is an easy completion. You see Moriarty come from the right. The ball is thrown. I don't think they can give that to him. The umpire is looking at it. Paul Trapinski is the replay official. I think that ball skipped. Kansas City's trying to run a play before the replay official can get to it. Again.
Very poorly thrown ball.
And that's jitters.
I don't know. He might have had that.
I thought that ball skipped a little bit. It may be incomplete. That's a good call. But
so the first break of this game does not go for John Makovic and his Chiefs.
And the thing that no one knows about Kansas City at this point, with so little playoff experience with any players on the team, that ball thrown right down into the ground by Bill Kenney, I think that's butterflies more than anything else.
It is cold. There are going to be turnovers in this game. Rick Woods is back now for the Steelers as they'll get the ball for the first time in the game. Lewis Colbert ready to punt for KC. Hits a good one. Downfield, high. It'll carry inside the 30. From the 24. Woods finds some room to run. And then good open field pursuit. A fine tackle by Paul Kaufman. 50-yard punt and just a 2-yard return where the tackle was made. And now the Steelers with Mark Malone pulling the trigger on offense come out. His running backs Abercrombie and Jackson both having excellent years. Veteran John Starworth and Lewis Lips after early season injuries have been excellent of late. Preston Gothard's the tight end, and Pittsburgh's finally throwing the ball to the tight end. Webster's the key in the offensive line. With Webster out early in the season and Wolfley also out, they couldn't run. Now they're about the best in the league at jamming the ball right at you. It's an inside running game. Jackson off tackle, and he takes it right at Kansas City and gets ahead to the 31-yard line, a gain of 6 yards.
Don, we're going to show the 34 front of the Kansas City Chiefs here as their starting defense, but they have an additional defensive lineman, Kit Lathrop, number 70, at the Stillmoss and Koch there.
Going with a 4-man front to start. The rookies, Hackett and Cofield, have been standouts. Spaney, a longtime Chief backer. Secondary, maybe the best in the NFL when you consider all 4 as a combination. 30 interceptions for Kansas City this season. Second down and a long 4, and turning the corner and getting ahead to the 40 into the 42-yard line. Walter Abercrombie, and he has a first down for the Steelers.
Deron Cherry finally makes the tackle. It's a 12-yard pickup. This game is beginning the way Kansas City does not want it to begin. If Pittsburgh can run the football, Kansas City's defensive backs will have to commit to the line of scrimmage. You see 34 Burris up there. What these defensive backs like to do is hang back and try to come up with the interception. If Pittsburgh can run the ball, they are a brilliant offensive football team, Don.
And they have been running it at the outset of this game. There's no score with 12:06 to go in the first quarter. Abercrombie and Jackson, the setback. Steelers started the season with a 1-6 record. They've won their last 4 at home. They've won 5 of their last 8. As they go to the run on first down again and take it out to the 47-yard line. Ernest Jackson averaging over 4 yards a carry, and he didn't play in the first 3 games and still has close to 900 yards this year. He was picked up as a free agent after the Philadelphia Eagles cut him.
Don, I guarantee you, he's not going to have a 4th team to play for next year. This guy is made for the Pittsburgh Steelers offense. Chuck Noll recognizes his abilities. He's got a lot of years here for Pittsburgh if he stays healthy.
Jackson is short and powerful. He's a little over 5'8", weighs about 210, and he runs low. You'll see him dive in. When he seemingly stopped, he'll just pull it ahead for a couple of yards, and here comes Jackson again. And he takes it to the 48-yard line on a 2nd down and 7. He got a couple of yards, and 3rd down arises now in the first throwing down for Mark Malone.
Art Still, defensive end. Watch this pursuit along the line of scrimmage. Exactly what you want your defensive ends to do. Even though he did not make the Pro Bowl, Bill Moss, the nose tackle, did for Kansas City, still has had an outstanding season for the Chiefs.
Rich Ehrenberg comes in the Steeler backfield. He's the lone setback, an excellent pass catcher out of Colgate. He's got 27 this year and 3 for touchdowns. He'll be swinging out. 3rd down, a long 3. Malone's looking at Ehrenberg, and he's got the ball for a Steeler first down. Walter Abercrombie coming out and gets the ball for a first down to the 47-yard line. So Abercrombie makes the catch, his 43rd of the season. He's also the #1 receiver for the Steelers this year.
Set up very well by the run. And the Kansas City Chiefs now got to cheat up to the line of scrimmage to stop the run. You can get receivers open out in the flat. And in this initial drive, this is what Pittsburgh likes. Ability to run the ball, then the play action fake off, and the short passes out in the flat to the wide receivers and the running backs.
Malone has really played well of recent games after a slow start this year. Much more conservative, not trying to get it all on the big throws downfield. And here again is the run and a big hit. Dino Hackett, the rookie from Appalachian State, with a right shoulder pop, and Kit Lathrop was also on the tackle.
And this is a big game for Dino Hackett. His hero is Jack Lambert. Used to play middle linebacker here for the Pittsburgh Steelers, so Dino thinks he's playing on hallowed ground today in Three River Stadium.
Kansas City has won 2 of the last 3 times they've played at Three Rivers. 2nd down and 10 for the Steelers. There's no score in the first quarter. Loose ball.
Kansas City's got it.
They look like they might have it. Still free, and now it's going to be Chiefs ball if the play was not whistled dead. It is Kansas City ball.
Albert Lewis finally comes up with it.
And so, Trump, the Chiefs, who thrived on takeovers, get the first of this day, and it gives them excellent field position.
Don, I think a part of this is Kansas City is featuring that four-man front. And because of that, Pittsburgh is trying to make a lot of adjustments on the offensive line. A missed snap in the first turnover for Kansas City.
Howdy. Give me a light. Bud Light.
If you just ask for a light beer, you never know what you'll get.
Give me a light. Bud Light.
So if you want the less filling light beer with the first name and taste, don't just ask for a light beer.
Give me a light. Bud Light.
Ask for Bud Light, because everything else is just a light.
Hi. Oh. Buy your friend a beer.
The time, right now. The place, your Mazda dealers. The event, Goodbye 86. We're saying goodbye with good buys on all our 87s, 323s, 626s, even our X7s. And right now, special factory cash incentives can save you hundreds on 87 B2000 trucks. Buy now, while sales tax is still deductible. But hurry, the end is almost here. Visit your Mazda dealer for a good buy now. Don't let time run out.
It's a Radio Shack Merry Christmas.
You're home. You won't believe how much I save by shopping at Radio Shack's Christmas electronics sale. I got those beautiful stereo speakers for Kathy, half price. Your mother will love this convenient cordless phone. Billy can fight alien ships with this Astro Command electronic game. And for us, I even save 40% on this dual-powered calculator. Now we can balance the checkbook.
The Christmas electronics sale, only at Radio Shack.
Albert Lewis was the man on the first turnover, the cornerback from Grambling. And the Chiefs get the ball for a second time in this game. There's no score, but now they start from their 47. Wide receivers set to the left side. Stephon Page and Henry Marshall.
That's on the defense.
Gary Dunn, the nose tackle, might have jumped.
Encroachment, number 67, defense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Jets on a 96-yard return to the opening kickoff at Cincinnati by Bobby Humphrey have taken a 7-0 lead over the Bengals. So now Kansas City gets 5 yards and a good play call for Kenney. First down and 5. D by the Steelers, but he breaks 2 tackles. The big back from Purdue turning the corner. John Swain, a quarterback, finally knocked him down. And Mike Pruitt brings it now to second down in less than 2.
Pruitt, of course, plenty of experience playing here in Three River Stadium with all these years with Cleveland. Ran through the tackle of Eric Williams to pick up that yardage. And any run yardage that the Kansas City Chiefs can get today is just icing on the cake. They have not run the ball well. It's put a lot of pressure on their pass. So they've got to run a little bit today.
Second and 2 with Moriarty in the Chiefs backfield. Moriarty, a big back from Notre Dame, diving down to the 43-yard line, and he's going to be very close to a first down for KC.
Gary Dunn on the tackle. That matchup with he and Donnelly. You see Attic 61 trying to make the block. Dunn's still able to get over there and assist on the tackle as Moriarty dives. We're going to come out and measure for this first down. This is as quiet as I think I have ever heard Three River Stadium.
Years past, this place has been a football celebration in December. The Steelers have gone to the playoffs 11 of the last 14 years, but they haven't been in the last 2 years now. They'll miss again this season. Wade Wilson threw to Steve Jordan, a Pro Bowl player for the Vikings, to give the Minnesota Vikings the 6-0 lead over New Orleans. So KC gets the first down and now moves it down to the 43-yard line of Pittsburgh. There's no score with 8:45 to play in the first quarter. Steelers have won 77% of the time at Three Rivers since 1970 when it opened. And he gets time. He's got an open man. And it's tipped away by the Pro Bowler Donnie Shell.
Hit his helmet. Shell never got his head around.
Whatever it takes.
It was intended for Stephon Page. This is a lucky bounce. You talk about it being on target. Watch this thing. Bounces right off Donnie Shell's helmet. He never looks back. And that's a completion if it doesn't hit his helmet.
Big completion. So Shell ran into the ball very, well, unwittingly, but he knocked it down. And so you see Donnie Shell with the numbers for his great career from an interception standpoint. And now on 2nd down and 10, they go to the run. And breaking it open for the moment is Boyce Green, and he takes it down to the 36-yard line. Robin Cole, a longtime Steeler backer, makes the knockdown.
This has got to be encouraging for Kansas City. They are running the ball with some success. They're not looking for big runs. The top total for a Kansas City running back in any game in 1986 is 62 yards by Boyce Green in the first game of the season. Last week he got 51 yards rushing against the Raiders in the first half.
Now 4 wideouts in the game. They flex out Jonathan Hayes. They have Emil Harry in the game to the Chiefs. On 3rd and 3. Kenney gets time and a nice throw, but the good defense by Luke Sanchez makes the break up at the 31-yard line. They were going to Stephon Page, and now 4th down comes up, and the Chiefs send out their punter Lewis Colbert for a 2nd time.
One of the things the Chiefs have done very well is pass protect. You see Lutz just absolutely puts Keith Willis to the ground. Lutz, an awful big offensive tackle, another one of those promising offensive linemen, young, inexperienced, but huge and very athletic that Kansas City has.
Chiefs failed to capitalize after getting the turnover on the fumble recovery by Albert Lewis. Now a punt that's going to be down inside the 5-yard line. So the Steelers get the ball for a 2nd time, but they're a long way from the end zone. The long field to go, 98 yards away when they come back to go 1st and 10. This is Don Criqui with Bob Trumpy back on a cold but clear day in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where the Steelers have gotten the ball for a 2nd time. Lewis Colbert's punt for Kansas City down to the 2-yard line of Pittsburgh, and so in this scoreless game, the Steelers get set to go on offense backed up to their own end zone. Steelers showing great pride and true to their long and great tradition have rallied back after a 1-6 start. A lot of people consider them as tough as any team in the league to beat right now. They've won 4 straight at home. Jackson looking for room to go up the middle, doesn't get much, and those Chiefs hunting the football again. Lloyd Burris scooped it up, but it was a down ball.
Now there's an awful lot of comments about who might be the defensive rookie of the year in the AFC. Watch 59. Dino Hackett. 56. Spaney is 59. Dino Hackett makes tackles at the line of scrimmage. John Offerdahl, the linebacker for the Miami Dolphins, he seems to make a lot of tackles about 6 or 8 yards downfield. I like this kid, Dino Hackett.
Pittsburgh is tough to sack. Their quarterback sacked only 19 times this season. And now trying to go wide is Abercrombie, and finally they run him out of bounds at the 6-yard line. And that's going to bring up 3rd down and about 4.
Kevin Ross with an excellent tackle.
An all-important game for the Kansas City Chiefs. A victory, and they are in the National Football League playoffs for the first time in 15 years.
That's John Makovic there trying to talk to Bill Kenney about what the team is getting defensively, the looks they're getting.
It's been an odd season for the Chiefs. Started out 3-3, won 4 straight, then lost 3 straight. And then the last 2 weeks have scored most impressive wins over Denver and the LA Raiders to get in position to win their way in. Pitch back on 3rd and 5, and the knockdown is made short of the 1st down. And so now Pittsburgh will have to punt the ball from the Steeler end zone. Deron Cherry, the all-pro free safety, came up and made the strike.
Pittsburgh trying to get outside. You see Cherry Filth the inside. Excellent job by Kansas City's defense. Watch out here. Kansas City's blocked 5 punts in 86.
Jeff Smith is back. Another block punt by the Chiefs. A free ball. And Kansas City scores the first touchdown on a special teams play. Deron Cherry falls on the ball in the end zone, and the Chiefs go on the board with a play that has been the key to their victories all season long.
Newsom is down. He really got hammered. And this is the 8th time that the Kansas City Chiefs have scored on their special teams. It's the 6th punt they've blocked. And Lloyd Burris from the right side and 29 from the left side, Albert Lewis, are there. Look at the starting defensive backfield there to make the whole thing. Deron Cherry, that's his 4th touchdown scored in 1986.
Second that he's fallen out in the end zone on a blocked punt. And who got the punt? It was Albert Lewis who recovered the early fumble, and now Deron Cherry with a room service recovery in the end zone, ball laying right there for him, and it's 6-0 Kansas City.
On Frank Gans, the special teams coach for the Kansas City Chiefs, has been a big part of the success of this football team. He has really inspired these special teams players. You can see there are a lot of starting players out there. 2 starting cornerbacks and the starting safety. Take that back. 2 starting safeties, Burris and Cherry, are there to help with the block. I mean, it's an excellent job by Kansas City. A very opportunistic football team.
Very unusual setting, as you were mentioning, Trump, here at Three Rivers with all the great teams here and all the excitement. This place, silence is deafening on that great play by the Chiefs special teams. Stands look like a painting. People sitting there and not much happening. But there is for Kansas City as the Chiefs go on the board first, and now the point after attempt by automatic. Place kicker Nick Lowry gives Kansas City a 7-0 lead with 6:33 to play in the first quarter. We'll be back with the Chiefs kickoff. It's quiet in Pittsburgh, but I'm sure the whooping and hollering has started in Kansas City on a standout defensive play.
Don, this is the 3rd punt that Newsom has had blocked this season, but it's not on him. No blocking up front whatsoever. And that's the 4th touchdown by Deron Cherry. Look at that. The special teams have really done it along with the defense. That's not bad. 8 touchdowns for the defense on returns. That's how you win football games. That's how you get to the playoffs. And this is exactly the way Kansas City wanted it to start. A big defensive play.
Albert Lewis, the punt blocker, and Deron Cherry out in the end zone for the first score. Now the Chiefs are ready to kick it off, and Nick Lowry has it teed up. It's 7-0. Kansas City with a 6:33 showing on the first quarter clock. Wind is a factor. It's a swirling wind. Kerry Short does this kickoff, and running it back now is Luke Sanchez. Hit in the open field. He's knocked down at the 19-yard line. So the Steelers go on offense again. Cincinnati came right back down the field, drove 98 yards, and then Stanley Wilson ran it in from 2 yards out. Washington and Philadelphia still scoreless. Cleveland now leading San Diego on a halfback option pass from Herman Fontenot to Webster Slaughter. Cleveland Browns could be the team to beat in the AFC playoffs because they're in line to hit home field. Tampa Bay beating St. Louis. What's going on here? Pitch back for Abercrombie, going hard and coming across his Cofield. An absolutely remarkable athlete, the outside linebacker on the right side, a rookie from Elizabeth City State. He's 6'5", 250 pounds. He's the strongest player on the Kansas City team, and he runs 4.5. He was a free agent. Well, they got him at 6'2", but they told me he was 6'5". However, he's fast.
He's a player, too.
He's got the aisles, mobile, agile, hostile. Pitch back, Abercrombie. Following Jackson, Abercrombie is out to the 28-yard line, and Kevin Ross made the stop for Kansas City.
And Pittsburgh, to this point, has only thrown the ball 1 time. And that was a very short pass out on the flat to Walter Abercrombie. The Steelers, when they run the football, can really be hard to handle offensively. Of course, already 2 turnovers, a fumble by Mark Malone, and then the block punt is considered a turnover. So Kansas City has now got 49 turnovers for the season.
3rd down and 2. Steelers send a stack formation right. John Stallworth coming in motion. Malone against a big rush, delivers, and it's a completed pass for a first down to Lewis Lips. And he's out to the 42-yard line. Well thrown ball, and Lips is on it to catch it for a 12-yard gain.
Excellent pattern run by Lips. Great confidence between quarterback and receiver. You can see Malone set up. Looks like he locks on to Lips. Waits for him to make the break. Kit Lathrop, 70, almost gets there. And it also looks like Whitney Paul just overran the coverage ever so slightly, but it's a first down for Pittsburgh.
Lewis has been hot lips lately after a slow start because of a hamstring pull. He's now caught 33 for the season, 3 for touchdowns. Just his 3rd year, he's been to the Pro Bowl twice already. And here is a straight-ahead give to Ernest Jackson on a first down carry. He's close to the 45-yard line of the Steelers. Koch was on the stop.
Of course, when you run the ball well, your center blocks well. Mike Webster, 52 on Bill Moss, 63. Webster wins that one. This is like coming to the mountain. Every nose tackle wants to play Webster. Right. Webster is the guy that every nose tackle judges his performance against.
Chiefs feel it's the critical matchup in this game. If Webster can handle Moss, who's a Pro Bowler, one-on-one, the Steelers will run. If he needs help, the Chiefs will shut it down. Again, a very quick outside backer. Cofield comes in along with Pete Koch. And the stop is made on a 2nd down and 6 play at about the 46-yard line. So it'll be 3rd and 5.
Don, the interesting thing about Cofield, he has so much speed. He can run around blocks and then get there on pursuit, as he did in that particular play. The Steelers being very, very conservative in their approach here. They've run the ball well. I'd look for Abercrombie out in the flat again.
Third down. The Steelers have converted 2 of 3 previous 3rd downs. It's 7-0 Kansas City and a block punt and a recovery in the end zone. Chiefs with a 7-point lead and very nearly another interception as Kevin Ross made the play on the ball, and the Steeler drive stalls to the dismay of Mark Malone. This is something that does not endear him to his teammates. Pointing fingers on the field. He was pointing at Calvin Sweeney. That's something you don't do.
Well, I think Calvin Sweeney ran the wrong pattern.
Well, you can tell him about it on the sideline. That's why a lot of the players in this team don't like Malone. Jeff Smith will run the punt back. Cuts inside, and he's down to the 20-yard line. A 40-yard punt and just a 2-yard return. And so, with 2:51 to play in the first quarter, the score remains Kansas City in a must-win game for the Chiefs, a 7-0 leader.
You can see the problems the Kansas City Chiefs have had all season long, primarily due to a lack of offense. This defense has played well enough to be in the playoffs. I was interested to read a comment by Bill Kenney, the quarterback of the Chiefs. Said, my idea to play quarterback in this game is not make the big mistake. As long as we don't make the mistake, our defense will win the game for us. And he's right.
His coaches say he sees the whole field. He's got great vision, great awareness of everything that's happening, and he does not make the big mistake. But the Steelers come knocking hard on Boyce Green as a penalty marker goes down.
It looks like Kansas City is going with long counts. I think Pittsburgh was caught offsides once again. Offsides, Pittsburgh. They're trying to get any advantage they can to run the ball, Don. And if you can run it on a long count, you might get that defense jumping.
Number 53 in the neutral zone at the snap. 5-yard penalty. Will replay the first down.
Brian Hinkle, number 53, is one of the great outside linebackers in the National Football League. He gets everything but credit for it. He's the leading tackler on the Steeler team. Jack Lambert, they're many times All-Pro, looks at him and said he didn't think he'd make it when he first came here, but now he thinks he's one of the great players they've had. Hinkle doesn't have an earring or a fancy haircut, doesn't blow his own horn, but this is a tremendous football player. Brian Hinkle, the best defensive player on the Steelers this year. Swing pass goes to Boyce Green, and he breaks it straight up ahead, and he's ahead for a Kansas City first down. He gets to the 31-yard line. 7-yard gain.
David Little, inside linebacker on the stop. Well set up by Kansas City. You see Kenney looking downfield, and Lutz, 72, is his lead blocker. Get up underneath that first block. He does, and a nice pickup. You were mentioning Brian Hinkle. Merriweather goes to the Pro Bowl, but Hinkle was voted the team's most valuable player by his teammates, Don, confirming all that you're saying about it.
Timing pattern, far flank, a hard-thrown ball, and big Henry Marshall takes it ahead for 12 more yards and another Kansas City first down. Chiefs lead 7-0. A look at the scoreboard. Jets and the Bengals still tied at 7. The Eagles have gone in front of Washington 7-0. Cleveland Browns in that option halfback pass going still up 7-0. Led up on Detroit, a who cares game, and Minnesota in another who cares game up, except for the Vikings and the Saints leading. Houston has taken a 7-0 lead over the Bills at the Astrodome, a game of no playoff significance. Tampa Bay St. Louis is very significant concerning the #1 choice in the next draft. Tampa Bay wins and the Colts lose against the Raiders. And here's an interception. The ball is picked off by Mike Merriweather, and he's back to the 43-yard line.
Don, the Chiefs tried to run a screen again, far side. It was well defensed by Pittsburgh, and Bill Kenney was going to the outlet receiver. Watch what happens. He's looking out here to throw the screen again. Sees the coverage. You see Donnelly come out there for the screen, 51. He goes to the outlet receiver. It looked like Herman Hurd, 44. And Merriweather right there to make the pickoff. Boyce Green on the tackle. Excellent defense by Pittsburgh.
So now Three Rivers comes alive. The Chiefs in this must-win game for Kansas City, holding to a 7-0 lead. Jackson, behind a trap block, takes it inside the Kansas City 40-yard line down to the 38, where Art Still made the stop. Chuck Noll completing his 18th season as head coach of the Steelers.
Now, Don, he's probably the only guy that didn't give up on this football team through the first half of the season when they were 1-6.
Mike Webster said last week when he presented a game ball after the win over the Jets. One guy who didn't give up on us when we were 1-6 was our coach. Right now, the Steelers go with 2nd down and 6. Malone has the ball slapped back at him. Art Still, a huge defensive end, 6'7", 255 pounds from Kentucky. The second player selected in the 1978 draft after Earl Campbell was picked makes the play.
You can see they run a little play action here, but Malone doesn't get a very big drop. And here's Art Still at 6'7" with Wolfley 73 right in his face. You got to get those defensive linemen's hands down if you've got a short drop. 3rd down and about 6 or 7, I'd say now for Pittsburgh. Big down here.
Very big down. 7-0 Kansas City. 8 seconds to go in the first quarter. Chiefs scored on a blocked punt and a recovery in the end zone by Duron Cherry. Malone in trouble in the grasp, and they're calling a sack back at the 49-yard line. Bill Moss, who played at the University of Pittsburgh and made the Pro Bowl for Kansas City this year for the first time, makes a very big play in his hometown.
And he crawled for that sack. He's handled initially. Watch him fall down. 63's down on the ground. Watch him crawl. And then he starts bending the quarterback's leg, and that's when they rule in the grasp.
The 7th sack of this season for Bill Moss, the nose tackle for KC, as the first quarter ends, with the Chiefs in the lead 7-0.
And you can see the offensive turnaround for Mark Malone. He has done ever since he hurt his thumb, sat down for a couple of games, he's come back and played very well.
Right now, the punt downfield is hit down to Jeff Smith, who fair catches the ball for KC at the 12-yard line. And after a 37-yard punt and the fair catch, the Chiefs go on offense again with a 7-0 lead.
And that was close to being blocked, too. Albert Lewis was very, very close to the punter. Newsom almost got it again. Chuck Noll is the special teams coach, along with being the head coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the special teams in this season have not been particularly good. By the way, that block punt for a touchdown, first time that's happened against Pittsburgh since 1977. Bengals
you were playing then.
Well, last season, probably the only points we got against Pittsburgh that day.
Now it is 1st down and 10 for the Chiefs, who lead 7-0 at the outset of the second quarter. Time for Kenney. Long ball to Stephon Page, and look at the coverage. Excellent coverage by the Steelers, and very nearly an interception by Rick Woods. And he had time to let it go long. And he paid.
Swain had excellent coverage on him, too. Good play action fake. Holds the linebackers. And Bill Kenney appears to lock on to the receiver. But this is excellent coverage by Pittsburgh. Swain 26 out there. Rick Woods almost makes the interception. That's just kind of thrown up there. As you can see, pressure by the Pittsburgh Steelers. 93 is Keith Willis. And he seems to be all right. 2nd and 10.
The Steelers fans start up now. Wide receivers set to the right on a 2nd and 10 play. Mike Pruitt. Bang! The Steelers come popping. Robin Cole and Mike Merriweather were there. Philadelphia putting a surprise on Washington and the Cleveland Browns. They could be a playoff Super Bowl team with the home field out in front of San Diego 14-0. Tampa Bay continues to lead the Cardinals at St. Louis. Steeler defense, very tough, in position, very aggressive. Cincinnati coaches call it the hardest hitting defense in the NFL. Markers go in the air as people moved early.
Everyone moved early, but the only guy who should, and that's the center. Generally, they'll call that on the offense, yes.
61 in 78 offense. 5-yard penalty.
You can just about take your pick. From the shotgun in pressure situations, and this is certainly a pressure situation for Kansas City, a must-win situation. There's more chance for things to go wrong from the shotgun. I'd keep Bill Kenney up underneath the center all day long.
John Macavett on the ropes 3 weeks ago, and now his team in position to win its way into the playoffs. But it'll be tough to win at Pittsburgh. Kansas City is holding to a 7-0 lead on 3rd and 14. The long ball. Man is open. Stephon Page. No, this is Emil Harry inside the 40. Dancing back, and Emil Harry is down. His forward progress to the 41-yard line of Pittsburgh. Donnie Shell got him as Kenney had time, and Emil Harry, a flyer from Stanford, comes off the flank and makes a 50-yard grab.
And this is a double rotation zone. That is, corners up, safeties out, and you see Eric Williams, 21, doesn't get over there. I don't think you can blame it on Rick Woods. He's supposed to have inside help. And Bill Kenney's got the right guy to throw it to. A big pickup for the Kansas City Chiefs, really getting them out of trouble.
Talking Trump to Pete McCulley, the quarterback coach for Kansas City, said you're not going to beat Pittsburgh. Nickel and dime them underneath that linebacker coverage where they pound your receivers. You got to get it way downfield sooner or later, and they just did. And now the Chiefs with a 7-0 lead have it 1st and 10. Moore, open field, and what a catch by Stephon Page down to the 24-yard line. 16-yard gain on the catch of the day.
You see Kenney look outside, then he comes back inside. And Stephon Page just straight up the middle, taking advantage of the zone coverage. Finds the dead spot between the safety and the linebacker. It's between Woods and Swain. Easy pickup. Certainly the Kansas City offense alive.
Stephon Page having a big season for the Chiefs. That was his 52nd reception of the year. He's caught 11 for touchdowns. And now the Chiefs, in a game they have to win to assure a playoff spot, have it 1st down at the 23. Right back up top for Kenney, but he better get going now. It's too late. He's sacked at the 31-yard line. Least painful sack he may have ever suffered.
Mike Merriweather, he kind of overruns Boyce Green, and it just is standing right there in the face of Bill Kenney. Merriweather is their blitz linebacker, and he does it very well. It's the 17th straight year that the Steelers have had a linebacker in the Pro Bowl. Merriweather has gone 3 straight times.
I'm pretty convinced they should have had 2.
Yeah, Hinkle, I believe, deserves it.
Now it is 2nd down and long yardage for the Steelers. 2nd down and 17 at the 30-yard line of Pittsburgh for the Chiefs. Kenney takes a look, loops it up the middle, and Boyce Green is caught and thrown down. And it's Mike Merriweather, the Pro Bowler, right with the first back out, grabbing him when the ball came in. That brings up 3rd down and long.
That was excellent coverage by Merriweather. He had Boyce Green man-to-man. Gave him that little chuck right at the 5-yard spot, stayed right with him. Kenney, it looked like he had just one receiver to throw it to. Boyce Green was the only one.
If the Chiefs fail to hit this 1st down throw on 3rd and 16, and where the ball is spotted now, it would be a 46-yard field goal attempt for Nick Lowry. Well within his range. Moriarty, a big back in the backfield again. He's a good catcher coming out. Steelers pass rush coming, and it's coming hard. Incomplete at the 15-yard line. And so Lowry will come out for what should be about a 46-yard attempt. He was going to Henry Marshall. Darrell Sims, a former #1 draft choice of the Steelers, who hasn't done much yet, did get the pressure on.
You look at Nick Lowry. Gary Anderson is the all-time leader in field goal accuracy in the history of the NFL. Nick Lowry is second.
The hold will be actually at the 40 at the 37, so it'll be a 47-yard attempt. If Lowry hits it, it'll give the Chiefs a 10-0 lead. He's hit 18 of 25 this season. 7 of 12 from the 40 to the 49. On the way. He's got it. So Nick Lowry, fists raised, gives the Kansas City Chiefs a 10-0 lead with 10:51 to play in the first half. Don Criqui with Bob Trumpy at Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. 10:51 to go in the first half. In the last 3 games, including this one, the Kansas City Chiefs have forced 13 turnovers while committing just 1. And the turnover they forced today, well, actually, was a block punt. They also have a turnover when they recovered a fumble, did not get points off it. They did block a punt, though, and recover in the end zone for their first touchdown. Then a long field goal by Lowry, who just kicked off, and here's a ball on the field. But it is picked up by the return man and taken out to the 26-yard line. Coming up was Lupe Sanchez, and Malone comes back out now to try to get the Steeler offense moving.
Now, that was a dead lucky bounce for Lupe Sanchez.
He's played some great football for the Steelers, Lupe Sanchez. 2 years a standout in the U.S. Football League from UCLA. The big play man, Chuck Noll calls him. Had 2 interceptions and a win over the Jets in the last game. Now it's 1st and 10 for Pittsburgh. Chiefs lead 10-0. Malone looking deep. Over the middle he goes. It's caught beautifully by Waller Abercrombie, and he's down to the 47-yard line of the Chiefs.
Outstanding.
Brilliant play by Abercrombie for 27-yard gain. His 44th catch of the season to lead the Steelers.
This is a one-handed catch. Dino Hackett, 56, tries to get there with him. Watch this. Spins around, does a 360, and catches it with one hand.
That was about Trumpy.
Whoa. You wish, and so do I. No way. That was a triple salt-out catch.
Now the Steelers moving on. 1st down and 10 from the Kansas City 47. Malone calls his own number and takes it down to the 37-yard line, and he runs from a called play for a 1st down for Pittsburgh. 11-yard gain. Jets and the Bengals still tied. Eagles still leading Washington by 2 touchdowns, as are the Browns up by 2 over San Diego. Minnesota putting away New Orleans at the Humphrey Dome. Now the Cardinals are on the board, and they've tied Tampa Bay 7-7. Here at Pittsburgh, it's 10-0 Kansas City. A Chiefs victory, and they're in the playoffs for the first time in 15 years. Steelers will not be a playoff team, although in the last 6 weeks they've been playing like one. Abercrombie. 1st down carry to the 33-yard line. Got about 3. Pete Koch was on the tackle. A former #1 draft choice of the Cincinnati Bengals, who they waived, and Kansas City picked him up, and he's been a standout for the Chiefs.
Done an excellent job for them. 74 is a man of great strength. He's gotten some sacks, also made a movie, and his life has really turned around in Kansas City.
5.5 sacks. He's deflected 5 passes, has Koch, and right now Malone could be throwing on 2nd down and 8. Looking deep. Beautiful coverage, and yet John Stallworth still makes the play inside the 15-yard line. It's a 1st down for the Steelers.
Kevin Ross in the coverage. That's a 20-yard catch by John Stallworth. Well led. Stallworth, just one of the game's greatest receivers. This season was out for 5 weeks with a bad knee. The doctor suggested surgery. He found another doctor who said no surgery. Didn't have the surgery. Playing like a kid again.
And that doctor will touch up the x-rays.
Put some mud on it from Alabama. Healed him in a week.
Steelers challenging. Down 10-0. Lips in the corner of the end zone. Malone's looking at him. He throws to him, and it's dropped by Lewis Lips. Something you won't see often. Good throw by Malone off the run. A line drive throw right on the numbers, but Lips couldn't hold it.
Albert Lewis is right there. You see he's off in coverage. He's waiting on Lewis Lips. He's using that in line. I don't think Albert Lewis touches this ball. Oh, yes, he does. He gets a hand on it. Just tips the ball away. Spectacular play by Albert Lewis. He stayed right with Lips. Knocked that ball away. That's the way that Kansas City defense has played all season long.
Already today, Albert Lewis has recovered a fumble and blocked a punt, which led to the only touchdown of the game. 10-0 KC. Throw too low. And it brings up 3rd down and 10 from the 14-yard line.
Intended for Stallworth. That's a tough throw for any quarterback. Malone did a complete 360. He had the play action fake in front of him, then turned all the way around. When you take your eyes off of the receiver, it's going to be very difficult to make that completion.
Pittsburgh Trump has converted 2 of 5 previous 3rd downs. The Steelers can get it in. They'll be right back in this game, down 10-0.
Kansas City with 6 DBs, Don.
5 pass rushers, but Malone gets time and throws it incomplete. Tip ball by Duron Cherry, and Sherman Cockcross very nearly had a play on it. Now the Steelers send out their field goal unit. Gary Anderson's their kicker. He's been the top scorer in the American Conference the 3 previous seasons. Not having his best year, though. Has missed 10 of 27 this year.
For his career, though, the best that's ever played the game.
Born in South Africa, went to Syracuse. Boy, he kicked some rockets, too. Right on the money is Gary Anderson, and the Steelers are on the board for the first time. It's now a 10-3 game, Kansas City. Back with the Steeler kickoff after this. 15 years ago was Kansas City's last playoff game.
The kick is up. The kick is good. Miami wins.
The voice of Kurt Gowdy, the kick of Gary Yepremian ended Kansas City's last playoff season, December 25th, 1971. It was the longest game in NFL history. It went into a second overtime period before it was decided.
Ed Podolak had the all-time game in that one, something like 260 total yards of offense, running, receiving, and returning.
But 2 days later, Ed was skiing. The season ended. Kickoff by Anderson, a line drive. It'll be tough to handle. Boy, screen on the 1 hop. 15. Still going.
Look out.
Boy, screen's in open field. And at 220 pounds, he's pulling away from the pack. No flags down. And Boyce Green takes it the distance. Touchdown, Kansas City. And again, it is not the offense on the field when the Chiefs score the TD.
The first kickoff return by the Kansas City Chiefs for a touchdown in 1986. That was a dandy. It turns out to be close to 97 yards on the return. He makes one good move. Greg Carr misses him 91. Nobody left to touch him. There's the move right there, and he's off to the races. Wow, 2 special teams touchdowns for Kansas City.
A 4th-year player from Carson Newman, Boyce Green, playing with an injury that certainly didn't lessen his speed as he runs it back. 97 yards for a touchdown. Now Lowry drills another one, and the Kansas City Chiefs extend their lead to 17-3. We'll be back with the Chiefs kickoff after this.
On the Chiefs lead 17-3, they've gained 112 yards of offense, but scored 17 points. The Chiefs have now scored 9 touchdowns by return, 4 interceptions, 2 fumble recoveries, 2 block punts, and that kickoff return.
Back to live action as the kickoff downfield goes out of bounds, and the Chiefs will kick it again. If you think it's been a long time since Kansas City's been to the playoffs, and it has, 15 years, it's been even longer since they ran back a kickoff for a touchdown. 1969, Bobby Bell took an onside kick back 53 yards. That was the last Chiefs kickoff return for a TD. In 1969 it happened. Freeman McNeil ran for 6 yards and a touchdown to give the Jets a 14-7 lead over Cincinnati.
This is also the second straight weekend that a kick has been returned for a touchdown against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
That's very un-Steeler-like.
Coach Chuck Knoll is the special teams coach for Pittsburgh. Boyce Green happy. The offense doesn't have to score points for this team.
They haven't yet, only 3. 2 touchdowns scored by Kansas City today. Once by the punt rush team, a block by Albert King, by Albert Lewis, and then a recovery in the end zone by Duron Cherry. It was 7-0. Followed by a field goal by Lowry. And then the Steelers came back with a field goal to make it 10-3. And then on the ensuing kickoff, a 97-yard kickoff return by Boyce Green, and that gives Kansas City its current 17-3 lead with 7:40 to play in the first half. Sanchez turns wide to the left, and he's knocked down at the 37-yard line. Steelers with a lot more points allowed already today in quarter and a half than they've been allowing in recent weeks. Their defense has been tough really all year. They didn't have offense early, and primarily due to the absence of Mike Webster and Wolfley.
Yeah, but their defense has only given up 3 points. Their special teams have given up 14.
That's right. Sun breaking through now in Pittsburgh. Abercrombie on a slant gets to the 40. He gained almost 4 yards. As the game clock is down to 7:20 to play in the first half. At halftime, we'll be going to NFL 86. To Bob Costas, Ahmad Rashad, and Paul McGuire. As on the 16th Sunday of play, playoff spots in the American Conference still not decided, although much was decided yesterday by Seattle's victory over Denver. That meant the Raiders will not be in the playoffs this year. It meant Miami will not be. An odd year without the Raiders, without the Dolphins, without the Cowboys in postseason play. Pitch back to Abercrombie, and he breaks it down to the 47-yard line. First down run by Walter Abercrombie. 13-yard gain.
Dino Hackett makes the tackle. He gets out there in the flat. Great pursuit along the line of scrimmage. Abercrombie now has 47 yards rushing on the afternoon.
9 carries for 47.
Tell you what, it sounds like Three River Stadium has collective laryngitis. Nothing to cheer about. But I mean, they got, I guess they have mufflers over their mouths.
118th straight sellout as they go to Jackson, and he breaks it inside the 40, and he's not done. A power back from Texas A&M, breaking tackles and gets down to the 31-yard line. A 16-yard game as the Steelers go right back down the field.
Excellent blocking up front. You see a little pull by 62 Elkin, and he seals the corner. And then Jackson runs over to Ron Cherry. That's unusual. Cherry usually takes on anybody and everybody and stands him right there. I'm glad Buddy's stupid. The last team that Ernest Jackson played for, Philadelphia. He's going to be here in Pittsburgh for years, Ernest Jackson is.
Right now, Jackson and Malone and the Steelers have first and 10, and it's right back to Ernest Jackson. Outstanding block by Wolfley, and that sprung him around the corner and down to the 21-yard line. Terry Long got out in front also and chopped a linebacker, a pulling guard.
You see the free safety Cherry. He drops back until he gets a read, and then he comes from the inside out. And Jackson runs almost through that tackle, enough for a first down pickup. Steelers excellent drive here. Almost all running. Has been all running.
Ernest Jackson in '84 was the most valuable player for the San Diego Chargers, rushing for over 1,200 yards to lead the American Conference. Next year, though, he's at Philadelphia. Now they go to Abercrombie, looking to dip outside, but Kansas City gets good wide pursuit from Dino Hackett.
Lloyd Burris from the strong safety spot there, too.
At halftime, Frank DeFord on NFL 86. We'll look at the Dolphin years at the Orange Bowl. Tomorrow night's game against the New England Patriots will be Miami's final, the Miami Dolphin final game in the Orange Bowl. Next summer, they move to their new stadium north of Miami. Now with the score, Kansas City 17 and the Steelers 3. 4 minutes to play in the first half. It's second down and 11 for Mark Malone and the Steelers. Oh, and a catch to Abercrombie. He's knocked out of bounds at the 14-yard line. 3 yards short of a first down.
34 tackled 34. Burris out there from the strong safety spot. Kansas City that time again with their 4-man rush.
Lloyd Burris is heading to the Pro Bowl again. The 200-pound strong safety from Maryland. Big hitter. Kansas City with a 17-3 lead in this most important game for the Chiefs. Win and they're in. It's as simple as that for Kansas City. Third and a long 3 for the Steelers. Wrong side of Louis Lips. And again, Malone is pointing at a teammate.
Pointing to Terry Long.
Loudly booed here.
He threw it way behind the receiver. You see that Lips is open. There's no way he can make that catch, and Mark Malone pointing fingers at other people. That was a poorly thrown pass.
Now Gary Anderson out for a second field goal try for the Steelers with 3:49 to play in the first half. Gary Newsom, the punter, is his holder. And again, Gary Anderson drills it up and through. So the Steelers have 6. They're down by 11. It's a 17-6 game. 3:44 to play in the first half.
It was a nice drive, but for the Steelers it came up to Malone just making the one play, the one pass reception. Louis Lips was open and Malone throws it behind him, and Chuck Nola's got to be wondering about this. Kickoff to the Kansas City Chiefs again last time. 97 yards and a touchdown. Malone's not having a particularly good day. Doing an awful lot of running the ball. That should have been a completion. He was looking right at Louis Lips, staring right at him.
As you pointed out, Trump, Malone, after a bad start, has come back strong in the recent weeks in the last 9 games. There you see his numbers. There's been no interceptions. The Steelers did fumble the ball away once and have made a couple of very critical errors. Once on punt blocking, when a punt was blocked into the end zone, it was recovered for a touchdown, as Jackson has attended to on the Steelers sideline. And then the Steelers, for a second straight week, gave up a kickoff return for a touchdown. 97 yards by Boyce Green. Right now, the Chiefs lead 17-6. Jeff Smith takes a rip. Merriweather delivered it. Kansas City's offense comes back out with 3:36 to go in the half.
In a very comfortable position, leading 17-6. I guarantee you now, Bill Kenney does not want to turn the ball over here. Be very conservative. He's telling everybody, hang on to the football. Nothing fancy. Try to run the ball right at the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Bill Kenney, a free agent, originally drafted in the last round by Miami, ranks among the top 12 passers all time. He went to the Pro Bowl in '84 after throwing for over 4,300 yards. Right now, though, he's going to the run in a bull back from Purdue. Mike Pruitt takes it out to the 27. Eric Williams, the free safety for Pittsburgh, made the stop. Bengals again rally back to tie the Jets 14-all in the second quarter.
That's a must game for Cincinnati, too. If they lose, they're basically eliminated from the playoffs.
Boomer Esiason threw a 12-yard touchdown pass to Chris Collinsworth to get the tying touchdown for Cincinnati. Back to the run go the Kansas City Chiefs as they take it out to the 32. Herman Hurd getting his first carry of the game. On a 2nd and 4 play, he got about 3, so it'll be 3rd and 1. Dirt Winston got him for the Steelers.
Chiefs more than happy to go in at halftime leading 17-6. Hang on to the football, both hands on it. Don't give Pittsburgh life any way you can.
A reminder to our viewers that we'll be selecting the Budweiser most valuable player for today's game at the conclusion of the game. the concluding game of the season tomorrow night when the Patriots go against the Dolphins. New England wide receiver Irving Fryer apparently has requested to be traded. 3 weeks ago, you remember, he was injured in a game and then mysteriously crashed his car driving around the stadium while the game was still going on. Last week, Trump, he was knocked out of the game again. And as they're helping him to the sideline, some leather lung behind the Patriots bench yelled out, "Get his keys."
Yeah, this has not been Irving Fryer's year.
Last year they said it was a knife in the kitchen. This year a fork in the road. Third down and short. Kansas City power formation. Whoa.
I don't think he got it.
Mike Pruitt dove, and he had to get out across the 31 to the 32, and we'll see where the spot is. It decides everything. Hinkle says no, it didn't get there.
Yeah, from where the head linesman spotted it, no way did they make that first down. It looked like Robin Cole and Dirt Winston did the job. You see Hinkle 53 attacking the line of scrimmage. There's 55 underneath Dirt Winston along with Robin Cole. Not enough for the first down.
John Makovic in his 4th year, his first winning season. His first team was 6-10, then went to 8-8. Last season they fell to 6-10 again. This season they're closing in on a 10-6 finish and a playoff spot if they can hold the lead. Maybe build on it. At 17-6 Kansas City. Steelers will have 2 minutes to work when they get the ball back. Rick Woods makes the catch at his 25-yard line with 2 minutes to play in the first half. 45-yard punt. So we'll be back to watch the Steeler offense try again when we come to Three Rivers. Early in the game, this was the big play for Kansas City. In comes Albert Lewis, a block of the punt, and then quickly on the ball, Duron Cherry for the touchdown, and it was 7-0 Kansas City. They've subsequently built to that lead, to build on that lead to 17-6, and now 2 minutes to play in the half, and the Steelers go once again. Down by 11 is Pittsburgh. Swing to Abercrombie, long out in front. And Abercrombie, with dance move, takes it out for a first down and stops the clock getting out of bounds. A 17-yard run with the catch.
Excellent choice of plays. It kind of spread the offense a little bit, which obviously spreads the defense. And this Pittsburgh offensive line sells the pass very well. Then on the screen pass out to Abercrombie, there's basically nobody there to make a tackle.
Again, this time it's Ehrenberg taking the ball, and he comes to the near sideline. Doesn't get much, if anything at all, but he does stop the clock with 1:45 to go. 17-6, Kansas City's in the lead.
They got a player down too, Kansas City. I believe it's
Herman Cockcroft.
Yeah, Cockcroft. He looked like he hurt his leg.
So while Sherman Cockcroft, an extra defensive back, is attended to, the Steelers go back and regroup now. Malone comes to the sideline. One interesting irony of this game, Trump, as you know, the Steelers and the Bengals don't exchange holiday greetings. If the Steelers should beat Kansas City, they'd be helping measurably the Cincinnati Bengals today.
And of course the Steelers are saying we don't like Cincinnati. We don't like their coach. If we win today, we're doing it for ourselves, not for Cincinnati. And Cincinnati said the same thing. You know, if the Steelers win, they're doing it for themselves, not for us. Not for us, not for Cincinnati.
Well, whoever they do it for right now, they're not doing it very well, as they've had a punt block for a touchdown and given up a 97-yard kickoff return for another KC score. So Kansas City is winning the way they've built this playoff contending team, with special teams playing great defense.
9 touchdowns on returns for Kansas City in 1986. And of course, Duron Cherry with that recovery of the blocked punt for the first score, his 4th touchdown of the season. He now leads Louis Lipps in scoring in the 1986 season. Lipps has 3 touchdowns and Duron Cherry 4.
Duron Cherry also has 9 interceptions this year, one behind the NFL leader But there's now Ronnie Lott of the 49ers. He got another one the other night against the Rams.
Well, this is exactly the way Kansas City wanted it to go. They've come into this game with defense being the strong part of their football team and their fortunes, and also their special teams helping out a great deal. It's exactly what happened. The defense has played outstanding, and the special teams have been just superb.
Cockcroft has meant a lot to Kansas City this season. He's intercepted 3 balls, but he's down right now. Here's a throw and a nice play on the ball. Coming up with it is Lewis Lips, and a spectacular Lewis Lips play. Gets the ball, breaks the tackle, turns upfield, and gets ahead for a first down.
Albert Lewis was the man in coverage. Watch Lips come back with his football. He's got the coverage right on him. Bill Moss, 63, in Malone's face, comes back for that football, and when Lewis pushes him, he thinks he's going to go down. One of the game's most exciting players when he's healthy, Lewis Lips.
Wild developments in St. Louis. Vi Sikahema from Hawaii has run back 2 punts of 71 and 60 yards for touchdowns to give the Cardinals a 14-7 lead over Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is truly a bad football team. Awful year after year. Down to the 41.
Abercrombie on that carry, and Lloyd Burris on the tackle.
An unfortunate development for Kansas City. The Chiefs leading 17-6, but Sherman Cockcroft, a standout defensive back, he's their nickel back, goes off on a stretcher with a leg injury. Now Malone triggers it long. John Stallworth is open, and he has the ball inside the 5-yard line of Kansas City.
Excellent throw by Malone, Don.
Perfect.
As he calls the timeout, it's a 37-yard pickup. But he put the weak safety in real trouble. Watch him look to his left. He's looking to his left. He looks off the weak safety. Ehrenberg was the guy on the left. Stallworth straight up the field, and it looked like Stall caught his foot in the turf. If he doesn't trip, I think he goes in for the score. Watch his foot. He catches it right there, trips himself. Cherry puts the tag on him, but it's going to be 1st and goal, Pittsburgh. That was a great job done by Malone.
Yes, it was. He looked the defense off, and that's a perfect strike.
He put that free safety in a spot where the free safety couldn't be right. When he looked left at Ehrenberg, the free safety committed that way, and then he goes back to Stallworth.
So Malone comes back out now with his team its best touchdown chance of this day. Steelers' only scoring has been a pair of field goals by Gary Anderson. 1:15 to play in the first half. It's a 17-6 game, Kansas City.
Now the matchup is really Webster on Moss. Center on nose tackle. Moss is off the center. It's an even defense, but still it's the matchup.
Jackson and Abercrombie are the running backs for Pittsburgh. Play fake. Here's a throw. No. Blocked by Preston Gothard, the tight end.
Now, Don, Malone didn't have to throw it then. Gothard, when he comes out, he trips a little bit. He doesn't have to throw it that quickly. There's nobody out there to cover him, and Gothard never really has complete control of himself there. You believe it? You believe it?
Preston Gothard's done a good job, though, for the Steelers this year with 15 receptions, not yet a touchdown catch. The big tight end from Alabama had a golden opportunity. Now it's 2nd and goal, and another throw. And this time the ball is stripped away, and a Kansas City defensive back makes the play. Kevin Ross knocked it away from Rich Ehrenberg. 3rd and goal, Steelers.
Normally you see the running back break out. Look at here. Breaks right back in. 31, Kevin Ross is right there. Oh, looked like it was thrown very hard. I can't believe Pittsburgh's down here, and they have yet to run the ball. 1st and goal.
1:08 to go, as you see, in a 17-6 Kansas City lead. 3rd down and goal from the 3. Jackson, look at that hit. Dino Hackett. Whoa. The rookie linebacker with the Hall of Fame hit.
The fans
Major league pop.
The fans want the Steelers to go, and Gary Anderson comes on for the field goal. Watch Hackett.
Hit.
Watch Hackett. He's right with Jackson. Squares up. Bam. Keeps him from going in the end zone. That's why I think that kid's the defensive rookie of the year in the AFC.
So the Chiefs hold on 3 downs from their 3-yard line, and now the Steelers send out their field goal unit. That'll put them back into the game 17-9 with less than 45 seconds to play in the half. If it's good, and it probably will be off the foot of Gary Anderson.
This is definitely a negative. I mean, when you have field goals that are the same distance as extra points, you can't be celebrating.
The Jets have now broken the tie with the Cincinnati Bengals and gone in front 21-14 on Freeman McNeil's second touchdown run of the game. Philadelphia continues to lead favored Washington. Cleveland holding to a halftime lead over San Diego. Minnesota executing New Orleans. Atlanta still up over Detroit. Buffalo has just got a touchdown throw from Jim Kelly to Chris Burkett. Down by 3, and St. Louis holding to a 14-7 lead on 2 touchdown returns on punts by Vi Sikahema. Not yet a household name, but perhaps soon. Keeps doing that. Now the field goal try for the Steelers, who failed to take it in, and it's blocked. Loose ball, and they pick it up on the run. This is Lloyd Burris. Look at Albert Lewis pick up to block off anybody that gets near him. No flags down. It's going to go the distance. It might be one of the great plays we've seen this season.
3 scores today by Kansas City, all 3 by special teams.
What a play. Did you see Albert Lewis catch up, though, in case anybody got near him? Lloyd Burris scooping up the ball, sure-handed, and the Chiefs scored another brilliant special teams play. A block punt in the end zone for a touchdown, a 97-yard kickoff return, now a blocked field goal and a subsequent return by Pro Bowl safety Lloyd Burris, and the Kansas City Chiefs have a 23-6 lead. That was for 78 yards.
Looked like Art Still was the guy who got his hand up and blocked it. What a first half.
Unbelievable.
Wow. Let's see if we can pick up who blocks this field goal. Comes from the inside. And the Kansas City special teams are playing every single down. That's one thing you got to give credit to Kansas City. Frank Gann's a special team coach. And from behind the kicker, it's Bill Moss.
Bill Moss, who has a quarterback sack already today. Albert Lewis, in case he needs a block, comes flying up the field, number 29. There he is coming into your picture. I don't know what he runs a 40 in, but it's got to be quick.
Unbelievable. 21 points scored by the special teams of the Chiefs in the first half. Bill Moss with the block, playing in front of the hometown folks. Was an All-American at Pitt. And Bob Springer, the PR director of the Kansas City Chiefs, said when Moss made the Pro Bowl, when it was announced, when he was told by John Malkovich, he was like a 9-year-old kid on Christmas morning. And for the rest of the week, he's been nasty. Ready to prove his...
Just like they like him.
Ready to prove his Pro Bowl status today in Three River Stadium.
Coach Noll's going to be a little nasty at halftime, I think. Some of these breakdowns.
Look at there.
They're the Pro Bowlers for the Chiefs.
Cherry scored a touchdown. Burris has scored a touchdown, and Moss just blocked the field goal.
And also has a sack.
Unbelievable. I've never seen a half of football
Mike
like
Merriweather
this.
has an interception, the Steeler linebacker.
I've never seen a half like this.
Right now, the Kansas City playoff chances are better than good. As you know, a victory today puts them in, and it would take 3 second-half touchdowns by the Steelers if the Kansas City Chiefs don't score for the Steelers to win this game. Squib kick upfield with 28 seconds to play. It'll be down to the 34-yard line. And now Malone and the Steelers come out. So the Pittsburgh fans, many here disguised as empty seats. As they used to say about the old New York Titans, a lot of no-shows. Booing roundly, the Steelers, you remember, after that brilliant catch by Stallworth, had first and goal at the Kansas City 3. 2 passes, no luck. A run, didn't get there. Dino Hackett with the big hit on Ernest Jackson. And then the field goal attempt, and Moss breaks through and blocks it, and Lloyd Burris runs it back 78 yards for a touchdown.
John, with 26 points left in the first half, too, that is a 14-point swing.
Yep. 7
the Steelers didn't get, 7 the Chiefs did get. They go in really with their chins on their chest. Pittsburgh does at half.
Chiefs are not about to let this opportunity get away from them. Now, Malone throws, tip ball in the air. Might have been Big Art still again.
It was.
The second of the day.
Tunch Ilkin is the offensive tackle that's blocking Art Still, and Still is just pushing him right back into the quarterback. Here's Ilkin. He hasn't allowed a sack all season long, but Art Still has blocked 2 passes today already.
And our producer George Finkel pointing out that the Chiefs have 3 field goal blocks this year, 2 by Maz. Our director is Richard Klein, as we have 21 seconds to play in the first half. 24-6 is the score. Malone throws near flank, and the ball's almost picked up by Lloyd Burris in mid-flight. Lewis Lips, the intended receiver, as the game clock's down to 16 seconds to play.
Well, Malone threw it right at the defensive back. Well, watch Lips as he runs down, runs the pattern. And this ball is thrown right to Lloyd Burris. And Lips, realizing, oh no, I got to make sure there's no interception, does an excellent job. He turns from receiver to defender.
So the Kansas City Chiefs in their must-win game have built an 18-point lead. These Steelers, though, are going to be fighting the whole second half. They're sidelined. All the players lined up right on it, waiting for something to happen. The Pittsburgh team all in the game as Abercrombie weaves ahead to the 49-yard line. That's going to do it as they're down to 2 seconds, 1 and out. And that is the end of the first half, with NFL 86 coming up next. Don Criqui with Bob Trumpy at Three Rivers Stadium, where the Chiefs have built a 24-6 halftime lead. Pittsburgh came into this game as a slight favorite.
The 24 points, when people around the country, it's going to look like Kansas City has dominated Pittsburgh offensively. But actually, the only aspect of the game that Kansas City has dominated has been the special teams. 21 points by the special teams. We knew coming in the special teams and the defense of Kansas City was good. We didn't think they were that good, though.
Apparently they are. This might be their best special teams play, and they've had brilliant special teams all season long. Now the big thing is at halftime, Coach John Makovic has to charge these players to keep going hard, because these Steelers don't quit, even though they have a losing record, and are going to finish the season regardless of what they do today with a losing mark. They are a tough team that won't quit, and that's one of their hallmarks.
Well, you got to give credit, though, to John Makovic and his coaching staff. They don't have much playoff experience on this football team, so what they've tried to do, I think, is just preach effort. And effort on special teams is what gets it done, and in the first half it has flat gotten it done for Kansas City.
Well, the Chiefs and their fans have to be happy with a 24-6 halftime number. 2 quarters to go, but Kansas City special teams play, which played so brilliantly all year to get in a position to win their way into the playoffs, having their best game today. NFL 86 is coming up next, right after these messages from your local. Right now, we're going to switch right to NFL 86 in New York. Here's Bob Costas.
Welcome back to NFL 86. Bob Costas with Paul McGuire and Ahmad Rashad. Let's take a look at highlights. Some of you in our audience are watching the Jet-Bengal game. Let's go to Riverfront Stadium and take a look at some of what transpired in the first half. The Bengal mascot plenty nervous, and he should be. Bengals have to win today and then hope for help with either Kansas City or the Patriots losing to get a wild card berth. And here's how it begins for Cincinnati in disastrous fashion. Bobby Humphrey takes it on the opening kickoff, and 96 yards later, he's in the end zone. The Jets trying to snap a 4-game losing streak have a 7-0 lead. After Stanley Wilson's 2-yard touchdown run tied it, the Jets fake a field goal and do it perfectly. Ryan pulls it away at the last second. Leahy does his part to make it look good, and Ryan scampers 11 yards on the fake to give them 1st and goal at the 6. It's Freeman McNeil's turn from there. He'll take it in from the 6-yard line, and the Jets have the lead at 14-7. Now we move to later action in that same second quarter, and Boomer Esiason is about to tie it. On 1st and 10 from the Jets' 12-yard line, he'll find find the great veteran Chris Collinsworth. He's in, and it's even up at 14. The Jets patch together a drive of their own. With just 38 seconds to play until halftime, in goes McNeil for his second score of the day, and it looks as if that'll end it. But Cincinnati is able to come back quickly and get close enough for Jim Breach to drill a field goal and cut it to 21-17 at the half. Ahmad?
Bobby, you know, the Jets still haven't got their high-flying offense back on track. Their problem has been that their wide receivers have not made any big plays in the last 4 games. As a matter of fact, in the last 4 games, it's been McNeil and Schuler who have caught the majority of passes. Now, they're doing very well right now, 21-17, but it's all on running. They got to come back. They got to hit these outside guys to get their offense back on.
You want big plays? Kansas City special teams have turned in big plays today in Pittsburgh. Chuck Noll's Steelers have been playing very well. In fact, they've got some of the fans at Three Rivers downright insane. There they are. But watch what happens as Harry Newsome attempts to punt. This is in the first quarter, and it's blocked. Deron Cherry will come up with it for the touchdown, and the Chiefs have a 7-0 lead. The first of 3 touchdowns in the first half produced by Kansas City special teams. The score was 10-3 in the second quarter when Gary Anderson's kickoff following a Steeler field goal was taken by Boyce Green. He brings it back 97 yards, and the Chiefs lead 17-3. It was 17-9 in the closing seconds of the second quarter, 17-6, I should say, when Gary Anderson tried to make it 17-9, but instead it's blocked, and Lloyd Burris picks it up and scampers 78 yards. It's a 10-point turnaround. Instead of the score being 17-9, it's 24-6 at the half in favor of Kansas City. Chiefs don't have to watch the scoreboard. If they lose this game, they're out of the playoffs. If they win, they've cinched a wild card. Paul?
And the special teams coach will get the game ball if they go on and win this football game. It's a dream for a special teams coach. You know, you're scoring every way you can. The offense of the Kansas City Chiefs all year long struggling. Defense playing extremely well. But when you have your special teams and when you play 16 games in the National Football League, Bobby, the special teams can either win or lose 4 of those games for you. And they're going to, it looks like the Kansas City Chiefs special teams will win this game for them.
It looks like the Washington Redskins might go into the playoffs with a 3-game losing streak. At the half at Veterans Stadium, Philadelphia leads them today 14-0. San Diego is at Cleveland. The Browns already are champs of the AFC Central. They've already got home field throughout the AFC playoffs, but they'd like to finish 12-4, and they lead 20-10 at home against the Chargers after the first half. Ozzie Newsome along the sideline. He's got at least 1 reception in 114 consecutive games. Razzle-dazzle in the first quarter. The handoff to Herman Fontenot. Fontenot will take that handoff from Kozar and then throw to the wide-open Webster Slaughter. The rookie's in for a 46-yard touchdown and a 7-0 Cleveland lead. But anytime you go up against Dan Fouts, you can't be certain of victory. It was 14-0 Cleveland when Fouts got into the act. He hits Wes Chandler with a 19-yarder, cuts it to 14-7. A Ralph Bernurschke field goal of 40 yards made it 14-10. But watch this. Just before the end of the half, Brian Brennan catches a long pass from Kozar. Nobody touches him. So he bounces up at the 8-yard line and goes in for the touchdown, which gives Cleveland the lead at 20-10 at the half. Minnesota at halftime playing at home in front of the Saints 30-3. Wade Wilson in for Tommy Kramer. Kramer is the NFC's starting Pro Bowl quarterback, but he's out with an injury. Wilson has thrown 3 first-half touchdown passes. The Falcons, after a strong start, have lost 7 of their last 8. But finishing up the season at Pontiac, they lead the Lions 14-0 early in the third quarter. The Oilers and the Bills. Jim Kelly threw a 12-yard touchdown pass to Chris Burkett just before halftime to bring the Bills within 3 at the Astrodome, 10-7. The Cardinals have gotten 2 punt returns for touchdowns by the rookie from BYU, Vi Sikahema. Sikahema will play special teams for the NFC and the Pro Bowl. One of the few bright spots in the season for the Cardinals, who are 3-11-1. Neil Lomax has a 2-yard touchdown run as well, and the Cardinals, playing at home, lead Tampa Bay 21-7. If Tampa loses this game, they've got the first draft choice this year, no matter what Indianapolis does later today against the Raiders. And, of course, that first pick could be Vinny Testaverde. Back after this from your local stations.
When you look at the total yards, Trump, you wouldn't think that the Kansas City Chiefs were in command at halftime, 24-6. But their special teams play has been nothing less than brilliant.
Yeah, Don, consider this. The offense of the Chiefs has generated 102 yards. Boyce Green had a kickoff return for 97, and then just the blocked field goal for 78. It ends up to be 175 yards accumulated in the special teams. So offensive numbers mean nothing for Kansas City today.
Well, it was back in 1960 that then 27-year-old Lamar Hunt started a group that he called the Foolish Club. They were going to start a new pro football league. It was the American Football League, subsequently merged into the National Football League, and it's been a long time for Lamar and the many fans of Kansas City to cheer a playoff team, but they're 1/2 away from being officially there. The Steelers need 3 touchdowns to come from behind in the second half. That's if the Chiefs score no more. They're a threat to go in every time their special teams are on the field. Here's a kickoff return by Luke Sanchez. Takes it out to the 27-yard line where he's driven back by a hard tackle. The Chiefs also, as you know, Trump, have a very good chance of being on the home field for the wild card game.
You're absolutely right. Continuing, too, on what Lamar Hunt Jr. and his foolish idea about starting the American Football League. Someone asked his dad, I understand, did you hear what your dumb son had just done? He started a football league and his team will lose $1 million a year. The old man says, that's horrible. That means in 144 years he'll be broke.
They had to think about it in the early years, but it's turned into a classic enterprise, but not a playoff one for the Chiefs in 15 years. And right now, starting the second half for the Steelers, is running back Walter Abercrombie. Lloyd Burris, who's been in the end zone with the return of a blocked field goal, made the stop.
And the Chiefs have 2 of the 3 ingredients I think you need to be a playoff contender, and that is the defense and the special teams. The only thing they don't have is a consistent running game. And with their young offensive line, that'll get nothing but better. They need a tight end. They need a breakaway running back. And this team is going to be a contender for a number of years, I think.
So far in this game, they haven't had any running game. But so what? The rest of the team has been excellent. Here is a throw. A tip ball is caught by Abercrombie.
Inbounds or out of bounds, gentlemen. Make your decision. No catch, it looks like. Again, it looks like Art Still gets his hands up. That's the 3rd time today he's been able to tip. I think it's a good call. No catch. Yeah, the official does rule it right there at the sideline. No catch. Second foot was out of bounds. Still, even though he's not to the Pro Bowl, playing outstanding defense.
Just saw Big Art Still teed off now at the top of your screen, coming hard on the pass rush. Malone triggers it down the middle. A breakup is made at the 44-yard line. Aaron Berg, coming out of the backfield, was the intended receiver for the Steelers.
Burris was there on the tackle. And this Pittsburgh Steeler offense has really been schizophrenic today. Had great drives and then 3 downs and out in several situations.
Jeff Smith is back to await Harry Newsom's punt. Well hit ball, and here comes Smith. Finds his way out to the 38-yard line, and there it'll be 1st and 10 for Kansas City after a 43-yard punt and a 6-yard return.
Dave Edwards made the tackle. I wonder what Chuck Noll told his football team at halftime. They have been flat offensively. Defensively, they've not played bad, but to allow 3 special teams touchdowns against you.
And as you pointed out, Bob, the Steelers are about the only team in the NFL that does not have its own special teams coach. Actually, the head coach, Chuck Noll, takes that under his wing. Frank Gans, the special teams coach at Kansas City, pretty sure he's going to get a game ball. He's gotten a few already this year. They've been winning games, have the Chiefs special teamers. Now straight ahead carry on 1st down doesn't get much.
And I think this game is going to deteriorate into a shoving match now for the remaining 2 quarters. Kansas City is not going to do something foolish with the football.
Second down,
30 minutes of action away from the end of a 15-year wait for Kansas City. A 24-6 Chiefs lead in a game that, if they win, sends them into the playoffs as an AFC wildcard team. Markers down at the snap of the ball, and the play's whistled dead.
Again, I think Kenney going with the long count. Drew Keith Willis offsides. The only way it can be against Cincinnati, the only way it can be against Kansas City is if the voice inflection of the quarterback or a head bob drew the defense off. Here's the call.
Full start. 75 offense. 5-yard penalty.
Got Irv Eatman, the left tackle. Eatman and Lutz, the tackles for the Chiefs. Brad Buddy and Mark Addix, the guards, and Rick Donnelly, a former Steeler, is the center.
And see, that was interesting. You can see 64 Edmund Nelson charge across the line of scrimmage. Irv Eatman's reaction caused the penalty.
In the upcoming draft, the Chiefs are going to go for a running back in the first round. They're very enamored of Brent Fullwood of Auburn, of Paul Palmer of Temple, and of 2 running backs at Clemson. It's 2nd down and 15 now for Kansas City. Nice catch by Herman Hurd coming out of the backfield, and he is to the 36-yard line.
But again, you saw the high percentage play by Kansas City, just throwing it out in the flat to Herman Hurd.
Browns extend their lead, heading towards a 12-4 season now. The Cleveland Browns in home field through the playoffs. 12 minutes and 20 seconds left to go in the 3rd quarter. The Chiefs now with 3rd down and 12 coming up, so no shotgun, as now they're going to set up in the shotgun. Moriarty, the lone setback. Wide receivers, 2 of them to either side. Long ball. Beautifully thrown ball, and Emil Harry comes under it again. You remember that big catch he made, a 50-yarder earlier in the game. And Emil Harry, undersized but very quick and sure of hand, makes a 19-yard grab for a first down on 3rd and 13.
Kenney locks right onto him. This is a well-run pattern by Harry. He's above Swain, and Shell, the strong safety, can't quite rotate out far enough to get the ball away. That's a high percentage pass. You're trying to throw it in a dead spot of the zone, and they get it done.
So the Chiefs with a 24-6 lead drive on. First down at the 43-yard line of Pittsburgh. Quick out to tight end Walt Arnold with his first catch of the day. He's ahead for 6 or 7 down to the 37-yard line of the Steelers. Sanchez was covering. The odyssey of the Kansas City Chiefs to the playoffs. 3-3 record through 6 games. Then they won 4 straight and were rolling at 7-3. Then they lost 3 straight. And it all seemed to be Cropper. The wheels had come off. Now they're heading towards a 3rd straight win to finish the season as a playoff team. 2nd and 4. Herman Hurd takes it, and Steelers come hitting on him. Gary Dunn, the nose tackle, was the first to get him. Also on the play was outside linebacker Brian Hinkle.
The only problem Chiefs have had today offensively is converting these 3rd down and short yardage situations. Not been very good at it. But of course, with special teams play like they've gotten today, you don't have to do a great deal to win the football game.
Third down, Kenney and the Chiefs need 2. He got him by the face mask, it looked like, but no flag, and it's a sack for the Steelers.
Looked like Merriweather.
Anthony Hinton was also on the play.
They had a linebacker rush on, trying to disrupt the offense as best they could. I think Merriweather made that sack.
So now the punter Colbert is out again. Lewis Colbert with Rick Woods back deep for the Steelers, standing at his 11-yard line. High punt, and a fair catch will be made by Rick Woods at his 22-yard line. So the Steelers start out 78 yards from the Kansas City end zone. Pittsburgh trailing in the game 24-6. Don Criqui with Bob Trumpy at Three Rivers Stadium. The Steelers break the huddle. A team that has been to the playoffs 11 of the last 14 years, but not this season, trying to keep the Chiefs out, but the Steelers with a long way to go. Kit Lathrop in now to rush the passer in place of Pete Koch, who turned an ankle in the first half. Being held out now. Malone with a screen pass, well done to Jackson. Blockers in front, and Ernest Jackson breaks it across the 45, and he's all the way out to midfield. A gain of 28 yards on the play.
And this is really the only play that Pittsburgh's able to go consistently to today and have it work. Malone looks downfield, sells the screen, or sells the downfield pass, and excellent blocking out in front. 65 was Penny, Boy, Burris eventually shoves him out, but they've gone to that screen pass a lot in the first half, and it's worked. I think they've got to find something else they can go to.
Longest catch and run this season for Ernest Jackson. He doesn't catch a lot of balls. There's 13 so far this year. Straight ahead carry on first down. There's more happening at Cincinnati. For that, let's go to NFL 86 and Bob Costas. Bob?
All right, Don, Cincinnati has the lead over the Jets for the first time today. On a 4th-and-1 play, Boomer Esiason scrambles, eludes the rush, looks like he's trapped, but gets rid of it to Rodney Holman, who's wide open. And now early in the third, Cincy 24, Jets 21.
Shootout at Riverfront.
Track meet.
Second down and a long 4. And here comes Ernest Jackson, and not much there for him. Coming hitting was that inside linebacker Dino Hackett and the free safety Duron Cherry.
On a report from Kansas City's bench, Koch will not return with a sprained ankle. Sherman Colcroft out with a sprained ankle.
Third down, 2.
Ernest Jackson comes out. You see his production for the day. He's over 900 yards for the season, and he did not play in the first 3 games. Was out of football until the Steelers picked him up as a free agent. Buddy Ryan in his wisdom cut him at Philadelphia. But everybody else in the league got a shot at him too for almost a month. Handoff goes to Walter Abercrombie, and he takes on tacklers to the 39-yard or to the 41-yard. On 3rd and 2, he didn't get there.
Excellent defense by Kansas City. Outstanding. Made the running back kind of circle out there a little bit. Watch what happens. You see pressure. Lathrop is right there, and then there's just nothing for Abercrombie to do but to head to the sideline. Ross is there to make the tackle. Leonard Griffin is there to assist on the tackle. And now 4th down and 1, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are going for it.
Why not? 24-6, they're down. 8:25 to play, and they get it and more as Abercrombie busts on down to the 36-yard line of Kansas City.
Hackett again on the tackle. An excellent lead block by Ernest Jackson up front. Not known as a particularly great blocker. Watch this combination once again. Just helps the offensive tackle there, Jackson was, to seal off number 70, Lathrop, and the Steelers pick up a first down.
First down and 10 for Pittsburgh. Abercrombie. Duron Cherry takes him out of bounds at the 19 at the 21-yard line. They're going to spot it at. But it is another first down for the Steelers, who have no quit in them. Still going hard, down 24-6.
And right at the end of this, Calvin Sweeney's got a nice block here on Kevin Ross. There you see it. But he hits him from behind. They don't call it, but it ends up being a 14-yard pickup. And some inspiration, I guess, delivered by Chuck Noll at halftime. The offense come out here for Pittsburgh looked a lot better.
This will be the first winning season for the Chiefs in John Makovich's 4 years. They last had a winning season in '81 under Marv Levy. And as everyone who follows the Chiefs know, it'll be their first playoff year if they win since '71. Kevin Ross throws back the ball, the receiver, Calvin Sweeney. But there's a gain down to the 13-yard line on first down, just short of a first down. Check the scoreboard now as we have 7:20 to play in the 3rd quarter. Cincinnati now at the 3-point lead, leading, as Bob Costas pointed out, for the first time this day against the Jets.
What's happened to the Redskins?
They've lost, what? This will be a 3rd straight loss. Rams have to go there on the 28th and play in the wild card game. Boy, winning the division makes a big difference, doesn't it? A week off, $10,000 a man. Hand up to Jackson. Good open field play by Whitney Paul, who came across and made the stop at the 9-yard line, but it's a first down and goal for Pittsburgh.
Whitney Paul has made this Kansas City football team because of his foot speed. He's a coverage linebacker for him. And there you can see exactly why he's on this football team. He ran Jackson down from behind. When if Whitney Paul doesn't make the tackle, Ernest Jackson goes in for a score.
Six minutes and 15 seconds to go in the third quarter. 24-6, the Kansas City Chiefs lead. Malone's passed for 194 yards so far in less than 3 quarters. Looking for the end zone. Timing pattern to Sweeney, and he's screened away from the ball by Kevin Ross.
Sweeney had no chance for that one. They call that a fade pattern, and you got to get the ball out there to the corner of the end zone where the receiver can catch it. Malone did not get it close.
Very hard playing field, but the Chiefs are also an artificial turf field team. They like the fast track of an artificial turf. Kansas City, it should be pointed out too, while we talk about their 28th offense, 2 of their fastest players and best players, certainly Carlos Carson is one of them. Another sprinter from that flank, Anthony Hancock. They've both been out for some time with injuries. Malone calls his own number, and he's heading down close. And Malone is going in standing up. So the Steelers get back in the game, and they're now down 24-12 with still 5:54 to play in the third quarter.
Well, one thing about Mark Malone, he is a superb athlete. He owns the Pittsburgh Steelers record for the longest reception for a touchdown at 91 yards. This is a designed play. This is no busted play. He fakes to Abercrombie and then makes a couple of nice moves out here. Also gets a block by Sweeney. And he's in for Pittsburgh's first touchdown of the day.
He was the Steelers' #1 draft choice back in 1980. The extra point is good. And so Mark Malone, who also has the longest run from scrimmage, 45 yards, scores the touchdown for the Steelers.
His group responsible for 21 points today. Frank Kansas, special teams coach. You hear coaches say you break the game down into 3 aspects: offense, defense, and special teams. And any day that you have 2 of the 3 functioning, you win. Today it's been the Chiefs defense and Frank Kansas special teams.
He was a Top Gun, a former Air Force fighter pilot, Frank Kansas. The kick comes downfield. Boy screen, you know what he did with one earlier, 97 yards. This time he's counseled don't come out.
Smart.
Much as he'd like to. Wants to keep that average up.
Jeff Smith encouraged him to stay in the end zone. Right now what Kansas City wants is just they don't want to do something stupid. First time the Steelers offense gets in the end zone, and Mark Malone is the guy who scores. It's his 5th touchdown of the season.
Henry Marshall comes wide to the right. 24-13, now an 11-point advantage for Kansas City in this must-win game for the Chiefs. Boy screen, slides ahead for 3 yards. David Little on the tackle for the Steelers. Mike Merriweather, David Little, Robin Cole, and a man who was overwhelmingly voted the Steelers MVP by his teammates Brian Hinkle, the linebackers.
And Don, see, this is where the Kansas City Chiefs could put this game out of reach. If they could run the ball with any efficiency whatsoever. 5:22 and ticking in the third quarter. That clock will become their ally.
Chiefs are going to have to fight it out for 4 quarters to win it. Steelers won't give up, and they're coming hard now. Cole, and 10-year veteran from New Mexico, and Mike Merriweather, the Pro Bowl linebacker, stuff Herman Hurd. Sure are in Steeler country. And it has not been a happy place to be for a lot of people, including Bob Trumpy.
I spilled some blood on this turf. It was never fun coming to Pittsburgh.
Been a lot of Sunday bloody Sundays here in Pittsburgh for opposing teams.
Until I retired, I thought this was just a horrible place to visit. Now I find out as a broadcaster it's not bad at all. It was the Steelers that were horrible.
3rd down and 7. The Steeler rush is digging in and teeing off. Kenney stands and waits. A perfectly timed throw, but the ball is dropped to the 36-yard line by the normally sure-handed Henry Marshall. And so the Chiefs have to punt the ball, and the Steelers could get very good field position.
Don, the Chiefs have only generated 135 yards offense today and not looked good doing it.
But they do lead the game 24-13.
You try to block this punt if you're Pittsburgh?
Heck yes. Not saving anything today. Here's a hit downfield, and Woods will have room to return it from his 35. Gotcha. Mark Robinson, a defensive back from Penn State, makes the special teams play. 43-yard punt and no return. So we'll be back with the Steelers looking to get closer in this game after this. Don Criqui with Bob Trumpy back at Three Rivers Stadium, where the Steelers lead. Our deficit has now been cut to 11, and they have the ball back. One thing you have to say about the Steelers, Trump, is that a lot of teams, when they're out of the playoffs like Pittsburgh is now, have the bags packed. They're ready to take off to parts yonder. They're going to play it out for 60 minutes.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, with the way their special teams have played today, not been very impressive. But the total yardage for Kansas City, just 135 yards. Pittsburgh, 330 to this point in the game.
Jackson tripped up in the backfield. Coming in to make the play was cornerback Kevin Ross. Now let's go back to NFL 86. Bob?
Don, one play after an apparent touchdown pass to Eddie Brown was called back on a penalty. Esiason picks up the blitz, goes deep to Chris Collinsworth. He's there for the touchdown over Russell Carter. 2 unanswered scores for the Bengals in the third quarter. A 31-21 lead over the Jets.
Thank you, Bob. You have the Jets possibly going to a 5th consecutive loss. And last week when they lost again, they won a playoff spot. This week when they lose again, they might end up winning the division. Strange how it works for the Jets, at least. Look at wide open is Preston Gothard in open field. The big tight end from Alabama runs it down to the 32-yard line. You remember they only went to him once before. That was on a 2nd and goal at the 3, and he dropped a pass in the end zone. That one was good for 36 yards. Preston is from a rural part of Alabama. They say he comes from out there where the buses don't run.
I'm telling you, suddenly Kansas City's defense kind of losing its head here a little bit. You can see that Gothard is absolutely uncovered. And Kansas City, I hope, didn't start celebrating at halftime. That's not a smart thing to do. Now, Walt Corey, the defensive coordinator of the Kansas City Chiefs, will be all over the guys, but Kansas City's got to get back in this game.
Well, I tell you, you have to admire the Steelers. They're just playing for pride. Most teams pack it in when they were down by the margin that the Steelers were, but now they're looking to get even closer. Down by 11. Throw and a catch. Is it ruled good? It might have been a skip ball. The rule waving it off. No catch.
That was poorly thrown again by Malone. Stallworth wide open. And the Kansas City Chiefs are kind of going back into a shell here. Watch the zone. Everybody drops. They're covering areas, not man. Stallworth just gets inside of 29 Albert Lewis. That's no catch. You can see the ball on the ground. Good call by the official, but if Malone throws that ball anywhere waist up, Stallworth is still running. Instant replay official is going to look at it again. That ball appeared to me to skip right through Stallworth's hands and hit on the turf.
Fans are cheering for a catch.
Now there is a scoreboard screen here in Three Rivers Stadium, so the fans can look at it.
Gene Barth, the referee, waiting for the word from Paul Toplinski, who's up in the booth.
There's the big screen here in Three Rivers Stadium. I thought that ball skipped right through his head.
Review of instant replay. The call stands. Incomplete.
If you roll it a little farther, now watch right behind his elbow. I think that ball gets loose from him. I don't think Stallworth ever has control of it.
That's from a spoken word of a man who's dropped just a few. Not many. But a lot more as they run by. Malone takes it down to the 25-yard line. Malone, as you pointed out, Trump, is an excellent athlete, although his running ability has been slowed by 2 knee operations. He's played wide receiver, strong safety, quarterback. He was the last quarterback drafted in the first round by the Steelers, and the last one prior to that was Terry Bradshaw.
Third down and short here. This is 2-down area for Pittsburgh to get back in this game and in the season. winning 6 of their last 9 football games, and Kansas City just changed personality here, Don.
3rd and 3. Malone throws. Ball is caught. First down, Steelers to the 20-yard line. Lewis Lips with his 35th reception coming off the flank.
Nice little slant pass. Malone just sets right up and fires it out there. This is a good one. Looked like Art Still dropped back in coverage. Oh, that's a big 3rd down conversion. Now suddenly Kansas City's team's heart's in their throat.
Lewis Lips, an extraordinary athlete out of Southern Mississippi. He was the NFL Rookie of the Year 3 years ago. He went to the Pro Bowl his first 2 years. Won't go this year. His production down because of an early season injury. Now the Steelers bang away with that great offensive combination blocking, and they take the ball down to the 18-yard line of the Chiefs. And on the Chiefs sideline, people are standing very intently looking on, waiting for this defense to make something happen. We're down to 38 seconds to play in the 3rd quarter. It's 24-13 Kansas City. Jackson. Head-on hit by Kevin Ross. Another very important play by the cornerback from Temple, who came up to hit Ernest Jackson, giving away a lot of weight. Jackson, a shade under 5'9", weighs about 210.
To remind the folks, with 145 yards rushing today, he'll have 1,000 yards as the 3rd quarter ends. He's the only running back in the history of the game to have 1,000 yards for 3 different teams in 3 successive years.
3rd quarter. We'll be right back after these messages from your local station. Game and a big difference in total offense over Kansas City, 372 to 141. But the Chiefs, as we start the 4th quarter, still lead the game 24-13. Steelers challenging now.
Malone coming with the audible there. You can see him moving his offense around, Don.
It was 24-6 at halftime.
Reverse.
Lewis Lips turning in. Chiefs in defensive position, and again it's Kevin Ross who's there in position to make the stop. What a player.
He did not bite. Watch Lips. He comes in motion, and Kevin Ross, of course, goes with him. Ross does an excellent job, stays right at home, and is there to make the tackle. Calvin Sweeney was out in front trying to make a block, didn't get it done. He brings up 4th down and 3, and Gary Anderson in to try. Last attempt was blocked by Bill Moss.
Was it Everett, run back by Burris for a touchdown, but this field goal is up and good. And with a lot of time to go, 14:49 to play in the game, the Steelers climb closer. They're down 24-16. Now the Kansas City Chiefs will get the ball back. Their huge lead cut now to just 8 points. It's a 24-16 game. Jeff Smith breaks it for the Chiefs. And the flyer from Nebraska is out to the 33-yard line. Join us next Sunday for NFL postseason coverage on NBC Sports. Your day starts with NFL 86 and host Bob Costas. Then it's the AFC wild card game. As you know, the playoff picture is still not decided for the card game, so check your local listings for the teams and time in your area. The AFC playoffs are here on NBC Sports. And right now, we have the KC Chiefs fighting hard to win their way in for the first time in 15 years. 14:39 to play in the game. Kenney throw to Moriarty and very nearly an interception. Now they're going to give him the catch.
He got up arguing. The umpire standing there like it's a catch. Robin Cole on the coverage. What's it going to be, gentlemen? I think they're calling it an incomplete pass. This ball is kind of fired down in there. That's a tough call too. But we've had a lot of passes thrown right down into the ground today. Kansas City needs about 6 plays here, 7 plays just to cool off the Pittsburgh offense.
So no catch, and it's now 2nd down and 10 for Kansas City. Blitz by Merriweather. They pick it up. Open receiver, and the ball is caught beautifully by Henry Marshall. And he's out to midfield and has a first down for the Chiefs. Big play by Big Henry.
Donnie Shell finally on the tackle. It looked like a missed coverage again, Don. And Kenney's looking downfield, and then all of a sudden it's Henry Marshall out there in the flat. Look, wide open. Nobody's even close. First down pickup. Kansas City's drive stays alive.
Henry Marshall with 406 career receptions. He's closing in on the all-time mark held by the great Otis Taylor of Kansas City.
Or the same number, by the way.
He had 410. That's right. Swing pass out of the flat. Herman Hurd takes it straight ahead on a first down play. He got 5 to the Steeler 44. And as you called, Trump, the Chiefs apparently did get some counsel on the sideline because they've come alive. Now the Bengals have scored again and sending the Jets down to a 5th consecutive loss and probably to a divisional championship.
Isn't that amazing? Last week the Jets gave up 45 points to Pittsburgh. This week 38 points to Cincinnati, and the game is still going on. My goodness gracious.
Jets lose and New England loses to Miami. The Jets will still win the division. Herman Hurd over the middle, and a driving tackle by the Steelers cuts him down at the 40-yard line of Pittsburgh, short of a first down. Robin Cole and Dirt Winston combined on the hit.
You can see that Kansas City being very conservative with their approach. Now this is the spot where they've had very little success. Third down and short when they have to run it, when the other team knows they're going to run it. They're bringing all kinds of big people in there now. Walt Arnold is in there. Let's see who else they got. They got Addix at this tight end. Also got Rich Baldinger in there. Big guys up front.
3rd and 1. Steelers fans really awake now as a dive over the top is good for the first down. Jeff Smith takes it over the top. He's been averaging 7 yards a rush this season for Kansas City. Doesn't get the ball often except on returns, but he goes over the top and gets the Chiefs 4 new downs. They run the clock down to 12 minutes to play.
Boy, it gets ugly down in there. I'm telling you, it gets ugly. Robin Cole and Dirt Winston there on the tackle, but Smith treating it like the goal line, dives over the top for the first down. This is what Kansas City needed now. Just enough time out there offensively, take some ticks off the clock.
They're going to run it again on first down and 10 from the 39-yard line. Here they are. Here's the gong ball going down the sideline. Oh, very nearly intercepted. John Swain had a hand on the ball. They've run out of that formation every time today on a 1st and 10, and this time they tried to burn him deep.
Yeah, but there's no way that Henry Marshall is open here. Swain does an excellent job in coverage, just funneling the receiver to the outside. Kenney in Kansas City, very lucky that ball's not intercepted. I'm sure John Makovic was over there with holding his breath as he saw that one released by Bill Kenney.
The Steelers still with a lot of time to operate. They need a touchdown and a field goal to come from behind. The Steelers trail the Chiefs by 8. It's 24-16. 11:37 to go, and the clock is stopped on that incomplete pass. Blitz picked up. Another dangerous throw, not close to a connection, and 3rd and 10 comes up. So on throwing on first down, the Chiefs make it expensive the rest of the way. They have to throw in the next 2 downs.
John Swain again in coverage. An excellent job by Pittsburgh. But Don, the situation is, if Kansas City can just get to where the first down marker is, I think Lowry can attempt a field goal, and then Kansas City needs, or Pittsburgh needs 3 scores to get back in the ball game.
A very good point. They're not that far to Lowry range. This throw has to be downfield, though. It's 3rd, and the Chiefs need 10. Jeff Smith. Steelers kind of hitting him. Not much there. Greg Carr, a rookie linebacker from Auburn, caught him, number 91.
Great pursuit by Pittsburgh. They were out there. They read it all the way. No denying it. They could see what was being set up. There were 5 of them out there to make the tackle. So Colbert has to come in and punt for Kansas City.
And now with an 8-point lead, the Chiefs, John Makovic sends out his punter, Lewis Colbert. to try to pin Pittsburgh back and make them go the long field. 10:50 to play in the game. Clock running, 24-16 Kansas City.
Look at the time Kansas City takes to identify everyone, make sure that there's nobody there to possibly block the punt.
High kick, it'll carry inside the 10. And it'll go out of bounds at the 6-yard line. So well done by Lewis Colbert, a rookie punter from Auburn. A 30-yard punt downfield, and now the Steelers go on offense 94 yards from the Kansas City end zone. After Kansas City had a 24-6 halftime lead, the Chiefs were finally woken up when the Steelers, Trump, scored 10 unanswered points to get right back in it, and they're right back in it now.
Yeah, Don, I think the Kansas City defense has kind of lost its character here a little bit. They got to regroup. Pittsburgh has come up with 380 yards of total offense today. And right now, with bad field position, Kansas City's got to stop this Pittsburgh threat.
To the run to Abercrombie, and he breaks it to the outside. Duran Cherry in pursuit, gets him out of bounds, but gets him out of bounds 15 yards downfield. It's a first down for the Steelers.
Well executed play by Pittsburgh, probably their favorite play from behind Mark Malone. You see the double pull, long 74, excellent block on Caulfield, and then all of a sudden Pittsburgh Steelers are running the ball very, very well. Coming into this ball game, Kansas City had allowed an average of 104 yards rushing per game, and today Abercrombie himself has 92 yards rushing.
And almost 900 for the season. His best year. Throw downfield and a catch by Lewis Lips out to the 37-yard line. Another Steeler first down on an 18-yard pass play.
Albert Lewis in coverage, and Don, Kansas City's in that we're going to win mode. So they're a little looser in their coverage. This is well done by Lewis Lips. Great timing by Malone. An easy 16-yard pickup. Nothing to it. Whitney Paul has got his hands up in Malone's face, but all of a sudden Kansas City's just changed personality here defensively.
And the Steelers have fanned the fire. Their offense starting to cook now in the second half. Here's Malone again, looking deep. Open man is Lewis Lips, who's down to the 41-yard line of KC. 19-yard gain.
And the thing that Lewis Lips does here is that once he gets by Albert Lewis, watch right there. When he breaks inside, now the only way Lewis can get back to the ball as he stumbles slightly is to go through Lewis Lips. Look at this. I mean, Pittsburgh going right down the field, started at their own 6, and now at the Kansas City 41. And the defense saying, what do we do here? What do we do here? What do you got? Let's try this. They're kind of losing their composure here a little bit.
Looks like a change in plays now. Malone's going to go up top again. Diving at the ball is Lewis Lips, and he catches it again. Are they going to rule it good? They are. First down Steelers as they drive on. The game clock down to 9:18 and running. 24-16 Chiefs in a game Kansas City has to win.
Again, it's Albert Lewis in coverage. They found the hot receiver. And one of the first games that Albert Lewis played was here in Pittsburgh. Lewis Lips ate him up. Albert Lewis says it'll never happen again. And for 3 quarters, he had shut him down. Now suddenly, Lewis Lips is hot.
Lewis Lips in his first game as a rookie at 184 yards catching the ball against Kansas City. 3 years ago. Malone on first down. Lots of time. Open man. He's got John Stallworth, and he's down to the 17-yard line. And yet another first down for the Steelers.
Don, Preston Gothard, the tight end, you see him 86, was wide open underneath. There have been a lot of missed coverages here in the last quarter and a half by Kansas City. A lot of missed coverages. Kevin Ross that time just too far off of John Stallworth, and all of a sudden that Kansas City sideline now really interested in what's going on here.
Everybody's on the edge of their seats now after the Chiefs had led 24-6. Steelers down by 8 and driving a throw, and very nearly a Kevin Ross interception. It was a breakup by Ross at the 5-yard line, and he's down. They were looking again at the veteran John Stallworth on a slant.
That was close.
The incomplete pass stopping the clock with 8:03 to play. Malone now with 296 yards passing on 17 completions, 32 throws. Lewis Lips has caught 6 for 92.
That play could have gone either way. Close to an interception, close to a reception. Ends up being an incomplete pass. Now Kevin Ross comes out, and it looks like J.C. Pearson goes in at cornerback. He does, far side. Who goes that side? John Stallworth over there. I'd look for Stallworth right here. 2nd down and 10. A real veteran against a young man, J.C. Pearson.
He's wide to the left is John Stallworth at the top of your screen. Malone's looking that way. He's going downfield, but Gothard takes it. And Pearson with a hard tackle at the 8-yard line knocks Preston Gothard out of bounds.
Radisic also there to make the tackle. He had the coverage on Preston Gothard. This is the same play they ran a minute ago. You see 86, Gothard going across the middle. There's Stallworth. Good coverage by J.C. Pearson. He makes the tackle, the assist to Radisic. It's 3rd down and a little over 2 yards now for Pittsburgh. Don, you mentioned earlier there's no quit in this Pittsburgh Steelers football team.
Have to admire them. True to the great tradition of the Steelers, fighting on are the Pittsburgh Steelers of '86, even though they're not in the playoffs. And here's Malone again, knocked down by Art Still. His 3rd. Or is it 4th?
I think it's his 4th time today. The people are booing here, but I think this is a
common sense to kick a field goal here.
You got to take points here.
Maybe back to within 6.
Yep.
Back to within 5.
Of course, every fan who buys a ticket is the coach for the day, especially when your team is behind.
They all have 20/20 hindsight too. Again, Gary Anderson's automatic, and the Steelers with 13 unanswered points are right back in it. The long arm of the law. What was it the late official Tommy Bell said? He was an attorney in Lexington, Kentucky. He said, during the week I practice law. On Sunday when he was a referee, he said, I am the law. $7:50 to go. The Chiefs get it back, and their lead once 24-6 is now down to 5 points. Jeff Smith gets a crack and uses it to get to the 31-yard line. Looped Sanchez made the stop for the Steelers, but now the Kansas City offense comes out, and they've got to run the ball and some clock and keep it away from Pittsburgh with a hot offense.
They have generated just 166 yards of total offense today against Pittsburgh's 465.
This is like the Steeler playoff days in December of years past as the crowd starts up again. 1st and 10 for the Chiefs and Bill Kenney. Aaron throw. 2nd and 10. We'd like to welcome all of you who have just joined us watching other games. This is Don Criqui with Bob Trumpy at Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh, where the Pittsburgh Steelers have rallied back after trailing 24-6. They seemingly were out of this game at halftime, a game all important to the Chiefs, who, if they win, will go to the playoffs for the first time in 15 years. But if they lose, their chances are negligible. The Steelers out of the playoffs. They're going to finish with a losing record, true to their great tradition, haven't quit. Down 24-6, they fought back and fought back. And in the second half, they scored 13 unanswered points, and they now trail by just 5. They've been stopping Kansas City cold, and now the Chiefs with a shaken-up ball player, as Kansas City's had great trouble moving the ball.
Bill Kenney, the quarterback, on that last pass attempt. Watch him move into the pass rush. That's Irv Eatman in front and Edmund Nelson. And it looks like he hits his hand right on the helmet of his own player. He already has a bad thumb. And Todd Blackledge is warming up on the sideline, number 14.
Ironic in that his dad, Todd Blackledge's dad, coaches the offensive line of the Steelers.
Ron Blackledge. And Blackledge, of course, from Canton, Ohio.
He was part of that quarterback class of '83, the only one who hasn't blossomed yet. And he was the second one picked.
Kenney looks in real serious pain. He's already had thumb problems before this season. The Kansas City Chiefs, their scoring has come on 3 special teams plays. A kickoff return of 97 yards. A blocked punt recovered by Duron Cherry, and a blocked field goal returned 78 yards by Lloyd Burris. And that's 21 of the 24 points that they have scored.
Absolutely spectacular play. The Kansas City offense has not scored a touchdown in this game. Now, 2nd down and 10 comes up. Blackledge hands off to Herman Hurd, who weaves his way ahead to the 38-yard line. And David Little and Robin Cole, 2 veteran inside linebackers, made the tackle for Pittsburgh. The Steelers started this season with a 1-6 record. Their playoff chances were really very low early. Then they've come back. They've won 4 straight at home. They've won 5 of their last 8 games under Chuck Noll. And 2 of the losses were to first-place teams in overtime on the road. So right now, the Steelers have been playing in the last month and a half as well as anybody.
It's a tough spot for Todd Blackledge. He's got to throw here. Been standing on the sideline all day long.
Blackledge lofting a ball incomplete as he is knocked down hard. A blitzing Pro Bowl linebacker, Mike Merriweather, stuck him right in the face. And so the Chiefs are stopped, and the Steelers get it back.
You see Merriweather from the outside. Moriarty tries to pick him up, and Merriweather just shoves Moriarty right into the face of Todd Blackledge. And there's Bill Kenney on the sideline. He's had problems with that thumb.
The Steelers with a tremendous dominance in total offensive yards. It's about 3-1.
465 to 171 in favor of the Steelers.
Colbert, who's punted well, hits the ball downfield for Kansas City, and Rick Woods fields it and immediately pays as the coverage is right there. Down to get him was Paul Kaufman, the longtime Green Bay Packer tight end who came to Kansas City as a free agent. So the Steelers get it back when we come back. For those of you who were watching the Bengals and the Jets, Boomer Esiason's thrown for a 3rd touchdown to Chris Collinsworth, a 21-yarder. And the route continues, 45-21 now, Cincinnati leading, as the Jets, after that 10-1 start, have turned into a total and complete flaming disaster. Swing pass goes out to Jackson. Ernest Jackson breaks ahead. He's got a 1st down for Pittsburgh. Out to the 36-yard line of the Steelers. Scott Radisick, a Penn State backer, made the stop. Look at the dominance in total offense from
the Steelers defense have shut out the Kansas City offense, kept them to just 3 points. The special teams of the Chiefs have gotten them 21 of the 24 points. And the Steelers in the second half have just absolutely overrun Kansas City. Kansas City has given Pittsburgh the opportunity to get back in his game, and Pittsburgh has taken advantage of it.
You really have to admire the Steelers and the way they fought back when the game means nothing to them from a playoff standpoint. They're still going to have a losing record now as Abercrombie takes it right over his own bench. Merriweather even got him. He's been getting all the Chiefs today.
No assist on the tackle. Mark Malone, 19 of 36, 313 yards on the day. Abercrombie approaching 100 yards rushing. And the Chiefs, I repeat, have given Pittsburgh this opportunity. They don't mean to, but a lot of times teams, when you go up 24-6 in the first half, you come out in the second half and you play, we got this game won kind of football, and that's what's happened.
Steelers down by 5, 24-19. Kansas City has to win. Hand up, Lips loses the ball. Free football. Lips gets it back, but for a loss of about 4 yards. Back to the 38-yard line.
Bad handoff between he and Malone. Watch what happens. It looks like Malone. No, it's Abercrombie that gives it to him, and Lips never really gets it cleanly. He does a great job to recover it. It was a loss on the play of about 3 yards, bringing up 3rd down and 7.
John Malkovich, everything on the line for his team today. Not happy with the way it's gone here in the second half. The Chiefs have not scored since halftime when they held a 24-6 lead. Now they're up by just 5, and here's the Steelers throwing long again. Throwing a catch to Calvin Sweeney, and he's got the ball at the 47-yard line of Kansas City.
That's in front of J.C. Pearson. He replaced Kevin Ross. Ross went out. I take it back. Ross is in there. They had 6 defensive backs, and Malone still able to find the open receiver. Excellent catch by Sweeney. Outstanding. Malkovich is beside himself here. This is the Kansas City Chiefs' opportunity, and they're letting it slip away. Come on, defense. Get with it out there.
Game clock running. It's down to 4:30 to play in the 4th quarter. Ernest Jackson, as a marker goes down with both hands on the ball, taking it to the 45-yard line. Jackson's been something for the Steelers. Picked up after legal motion against Pittsburgh will set them back. As we check the scoreboard, Cincinnati continues to dominate the Jets. Washington in a second Jay Schrader touchdown pass of the day has tied Philadelphia in the 4th quarter. Cleveland will have the home field advantage through the American Conference playoffs, blowing out San Diego. Minnesota laying waste to New Orleans. And Atlanta continues, has beaten Detroit. Houston still leading Buffalo, and St. Louis holding to a close lead over Tampa Bay.
Steelers have 26 first downs today. That's a Steelers high for 1986.
And 492 yards offense have the Steelers against one of the NFL's best defenses. Malone's looking at lips deep. Now he goes back the other way on a screen to Jackson. And Ernest Jackson's in open field and down to the 39-yard line. The Chiefs recover and get him short of a first down on a 1st and 15 play.
That is a great call by Chuck Noll.
Well done.
Absolutely. Bill Moss about halfway through that screen. Watch the nose tackle, 63. When he realizes it's a roll and sees Malone come back, he knows that it's a screen. Moss trying to put his hands up there to knock it away. Jackson can't. He can't quite get Jackson down. Nice 14-yard pickup.
For those of you who joined us late, Jackson's the man who led the American Conference in rushing at San Diego in '84, was cut, went to Philadelphia, led them with over 1,000 yards. In '85 was cut and came to the Steelers after the first 3 games of this season, and is close to a 1,000-yard season here, even though he missed the first 3 games.
This is going to be against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Abercrombie came out of his stance. Koch makes the tackle, but once again a penalty on Pittsburgh.
Illegal motion, left halfback. 5-yard penalty, will replay the down.
So it's going to make it now 2nd down and 7. I'd go for the screen again. It's worked almost every time they've run it, Don.
Just about everything they've run in the second half has worked. The Kansas City offense has not scored a touchdown today. Unbelievable special teams play. A blocked punt and a subsequent recovery for a touchdown was their first score. 97-yard kickoff return was another score. Here's a long ball. It's holding down, and it's intercepted and lost. And there is a marker down in the Kansas City secondary.
Kevin Ross absolutely grabbed John Stallworth. Stallworth was going right by Kevin Ross. You can see the pump fake by Mark Malone, and Kevin Ross.
31 defense.
That's the first thing Kevin Ross has done wrong all day. He has played a brilliant football game for Kansas City. Absolutely standout.
Actually, the penalty took place before that spot. Stallworth was going right by him, and Ross just grabbed him. Actually,
he's a Pro Bowl cornerback, Kevin Ross. His first mistake, and it gives the Steelers renewed life in this drive. 2:34 to play. The Steelers down 24-19 on their home field.
Ehrenberg.
Diving play by Rich Ehrenberg. It's incomplete at the 23-yard line. Aaron Pearson covering.
Well, Kansas City's certainly making it difficult for themselves. Had this football game totally in control and in their grasp going in at halftime. came out at halftime, and look at there. Just allowed Pittsburgh to get back in this football game, and they've taken advantage of it.
He might slip that tight end Gothard deep again. The big guy from Alabama. He's caught a deep ball earlier when he's left uncovered, and he's running a downfield route now as Malone takes a look. Throws it a lame duck. It's intercepted by Albert Lewis.
Never should have been thrown.
What a play by Lewis. Earlier today, he recovered a fumble. Shortly after that, he blocked a punt that was recovered by teammate Duron Cherry for the Chiefs' first touchdown.
Never should have been thrown. Malone's got people hanging on him. It's 54 Tim Caulfield, and he throws a duck. And Albert Lewis there to make the interception. And that kills the drive with 2:22 to go. Sometimes, look at Makovic. Ball. Yeah. We got it, he says.
John Makovic, the young head coach of the Chiefs in his fourth year. 3 weeks ago, it was thought he might be history. His team had lost 3 straight games, was 7-6 on the year, and then came wins over Denver, over the Raiders, and now an attempt to beat Pittsburgh for a playoff spot.
Offsides Kansas City.
Tight end left early. Jonathan Hayes. So did the right tackle Dave Lutz.
Ball start. Offense number 72. 5-yard penalty.
Tough go. 1st and 15, but they do have the ball with 2:22 to play.
Pittsburgh has all 3 of its timeouts left. They want that offense with one more chance. The defense has got to 3 down and out. The Kansas City Chiefs here now. Blackledge in at quarterback. Kenney jammed his thumb.
We're at Three Rivers Stadium. Don Criqui with Bob Trumpy. 2:22 to play. The Chiefs holding to a 5-point lead after they led 24-6. Now a straight up the middle power play. Jeff Smith, a small running back from Nebraska, takes it out across the 20. And the Steelers signal a timeout with 2:15 to play. And we'll be back after this. Todd Blackledge trots out now for the Chiefs. Called on. He was the starter earlier in the season, but today the starting quarterback Bill Kenney went down a short time ago with a possible fractured thumb on his throwing hand. So he'll not be back today, and Blackledge on this cold day had to come in unwarmed up. And right now he'll try to just get first downs and run the clock. It's 2:15 showing in the 4th quarter. Kansas City with a 5-point lead. The Steelers hunting the football, but they don't get it as Jeff Smith is knocked down and another timeout is called.
That play took 5 seconds. There's now 2:10 to go in the football game, and timeouts well utilized by Pittsburgh.
Chuck Noll completing his 18th season as head coach of the Steelers. 11 of the past 14 years he's had playoff teams, and of course he had those great back-to-back Super Bowl winners twice. This will be the 2nd year they'll miss the playoffs. The scores earlier today. Here's the block punt by Albert Lewis, the recovery by Duron Cherry, and that was the Kansas City first score. It got more exciting after a field goal. Gary Anderson kicks off, and here's Boyce Green on the one hop. Breaks the crust with some excellent blocks, breaks a tackle, and adios. Boyce Green is off on a 97-yard kickoff return. It still was exciting for special teams play for the Kansas City Chiefs. A field goal try blocked by Pro Bowl nose tackle Bill Maas, picked up by Pro Bowl safety Lloyd Burris. And he's off on a 78-yard run to the end zone. And it looked like the Chiefs had the game in hand and a playoff bid secured. Now it's all in jeopardy. But the Chiefs do have the ball with long yardage coming up on 3rd down. 24-19 Kansas City.
Quarterback draw would work here.
Fumble ball. Blackledge fell on it. He's got it. He got it back. I tell you, John Makovic, he's going to go from 41 to 50 when this game is over.
Pittsburgh's not calling a timeout here. So they'll have 1 timeout left. Watch his snap. Blackledge is looking around. The ball hits him right in the hands. Conley does a good job of snapping it. Blackledge just never really got the handle on the ball. Greg Carr, 91, almost comes up with a recovery.
We'll be back with the final 2 minutes after this. The fans in Kansas City have been waiting for 15 years to get back in the playoffs, and it looks like today, Trump, they're going to have to wait till the final second before this is secure, if they get it at all.
And I think they're probably sitting there in front of the TVs with all their fingers crossed, their legs crossed, rubbing their rabbit's foot, got a horseshoe in their hand. 2 minutes to play.
We're going to have something happening now as the Steelers are going to get it back. Lewis Colbert to punt it to Rick Woods. You cannot say enough on behalf of the Steelers. Out of the playoffs. They didn't pack a thing in today. They're playing like the whole season. The Super Bowl's on the line. This is their playoff game as the Chiefs fighting all 60 minutes trying to win it. The Steeler fans up and saluting as they've done so many cold December days here at Three Rivers to cheer on championship teams. The same emotions here. Colbert back at his 6-yard line. Gets off a high punt that Woods has to backpedal for, and he takes it at the 38-yard line. And he was inbounds when he caught it, so it's out to the 42 on the return. Mark Robinson drilled him a 42-yard punt and a 4-yard return.
John Malkovich not comfortable on the sideline. He's yelling, screaming, hollering. He's orchestrating who does what out there. He wants this guy on the field. He wants that guy on the field.
I believe he's the youngest head coach in the NFL, aging fast, and Chuck Noll, who's had those 4 Super Bowl winners here at Pittsburgh. Last week, after they blew out the Jets, the Steelers gave Noll the game ball, saying he was the one guy that didn't quit on us when we were 1-6. Down by 5, Malone looks to screen it off, and it's a little bit shy of Walter Abercrombie.
Bill Moss right in Mark Malone's face. And I'm telling you, if Abercrombie makes that catch, that's a 20 or 25-yard pickup.
Again, a check of the scoreboard on this final Sunday of regular season play. The disaster for the Jets continues at Cincinnati as Mr. Trumpy's old team hits high gear with 52 points of offense.
Jets can give up some points, can't they? 45 last week, 51 today.
It's like pro basketball. 2nd down and 10 now for Malone. They keep the rush off him, and again he drills it in low underneath the coverage to the veteran John Stallworth.
Got to hurry up now. They got 1 timeout left. Kansas City very deliberate, lining up.
The field goal only gets the Steelers close. They've got to go in to beat the Chiefs. Incomplete for Ehrenberg, so quick out of the backfield. He's down to the 40-yard line, but incomplete. And as you see, the game clock is down to 1:22.
And it's also 4th down and 1.
Our producer today for NBC Sports, George Finkel. Our director, Richard Klein. The executive producer of NBC Sports, Michael Weissman. The coordinating producer for NFL football, Ted Nathanson. As we're coming down the stretch at Three Rivers Stadium.
4th down and about a yard.
Fourth down and 2 as Malone drops the throw. Drills it downfield, and Lewis Lips can't hold it at the 33, and the Chiefs take over, and they'll win the game.
Why there? Why you throw the ball 15 yards down the field on 4th down and 1 with 1:16 to go? Boy, that is a strange choice. Look at Chuck Noll. I think he's talking to Mark Malone. What are you doing throwing it 15 yards down the field? All we need is a yard and a half.
Well, Malone has played a brilliant football game. He really has. He's had his moments this season. The object of derision here in Pittsburgh. They wanted another Bradshaw, and he's not one.
He's 22 of 43 for 351 yards on the day, but Kansas City has done it. All they have to do is flop on the football. Pittsburgh has 1 timeout left, and for the first time in 15 years, they're in the playoffs.
So Kansas City, I'll tell you, the 15-year wait went right down to the final minute before it was secure. We'll be back with the conclusion in a moment. This is Don Criqui with Bob Trumpy as the Kansas City Chiefs have the game down to 107 and running out. And they'll go back home, a wild card team in the American Conference, a playoff team for the first time in the 15 years since Garo Yepremian ended their season in a playoff game on Christmas Day 1971 with a field goal that gave Miami a victory in what is still the longest game ever played in the NFL. It went into a second overtime period.
Kansas City is a wild card team. Cincinnati wins today over the Jets. If New England wins, the wild card teams are Kansas City and New England. If Miami wins, the wild card teams are Kansas City and Cincinnati.
Blackledge cautiously falls on the ball, and it's now history, and it wasn't easy.
That's it.
Now it's time for the Most Valuable Player Award, sponsored by Budweiser, and today's MVP is Frank Gans, the former Air Force pilot who is the special teams coach for the Kansas City Chiefs. Budweiser will make a contribution to the United Way on behalf of all the MVPs selected in today's games. Congratulations to Jack Stedman and Jim Schaff, and certainly to Lamar Hunt and all the Kansas City Chiefs and their long-suffering fans as they finally taken it into postseason play. A salute from Chuck Noll, who's been there with the playoff team 11 of the last 14 years, including 4 Super Bowl winners. But the Steelers will be home for the holidays this year. We'll be coming back to Three Rivers Stadium after this.